In the year 2247, the Interstellar Coalition, a conglomerate of advanced alien civilizations, thrived on their belief that they were the supreme architects of the universe. With their mastery over technology and their manipulation of star systems, they had long considered themselves the rulers of celestial bodies. Their greatest achievement was the stellar nexus, a vast network allowing them to draw energy from the stars themselves, effectively controlling the forces of nature. Among the coalition, the Varthans were particularly proud of their dominion over the solar systems they inhabited. They had developed a system where entire planets would thrive under the controlled conditions of their chosen suns, growing lush and vibrant under artificial atmospheres and regulated climates. They reveled in the idea that the stars obeyed their commands. Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity had progressed in ways that even the Coalition had underestimated. Driven by a spirit of curiosity and a relentless desire for knowledge, human scientists delved into the heart of the sun. They discovered a method to harness solar energy with unprecedented efficiency, creating a new power source known as Solaris. This technology allowed them not just to capture energy, but to manipulate it, bending the sun's rays to their will. As the Varthans prepared to extend their reach further into the cosmos, they received strange signals emanating from a previously unremarkable planet in the Sol system. Initially dismissed as cosmic noise, the transmissions began to take shape a pattern, a call for help, or perhaps a challenge. The Varthans dispatched a fleet to investigate, confident in their ability to control whatever they encountered. When they arrived, they were greeted by a spectacle that left them in awe. Humanity had created massive solar arrays that shimmered like diamonds in the sunlight, converting the sun's energy into a powerful force capable of altering the gravitational poles of objects within the solar system. With a flick of a switch, Earth had transformed into a powerhouse, capable of sending energy beams across the void, disrupting the Varthans' carefully orchestrated balance. The Varthans, convinced that they could reclaim control, launched an assault on Earth. They believed that a show of force would bring the humans to heel. But as they unleashed their weapons, they discovered the true power of Solaris. The energy beams were met with an impenetrable shield, born from humanity's mastery of solar energy. In the ensuing chaos, human ingenuity shone. Scientists and engineers united, leveraging their newfound power to create energy-based defenses and weapons that countered the Varthans' advanced technology. The battles raged on, not just in the skies of Earth, but across the nearby planets, each one reflecting humanity's resolve. During a climactic confrontation above the surface of Mars, the Varthans unleashed a devastating attack, believing they had the upper hand. But in a moment of collective brilliance, human forces redirected the energy from their solar arrays, channeling the sun's rays to create a massive pulse that not only neutralized the Varthan weapons, but also sent shockwaves through their fleet, causing their ships to spiral out of control. The Varthans soon realized the error of their ways. They had been blinded by their arrogance, thinking that the universe was theirs to command. In their underestimation of humanity's potential, they had ignited a conflict that they could not win. With their forces in disarray, the Varthans were forced to retreat, leaving behind a message of peace. In the aftermath, a new understanding blossomed. The Coalition, shaken by their defeat, sought a diplomatic approach, intrigued by the resilience and ingenuity of the humans. As representatives from both sides gathered, they recognized that the true power of the universe lay not in domination, but in collaboration. And so, the misconception faded. They thought they controlled the stars, but they learned that humanity, with its unyielding spirit and boundless creativity, had harnessed the sun itself, proving that even the most advanced civilizations could be surprised by the relentless march of innovation. Together, they began a new era, one where the stars were not ruled but shared, a galaxy united by respect and wonder for the forces that bind them all. The Varthan fleet, battered and retreating, left a strange quiet in their wake. The hum of engines faded, leaving only the soft whir of solar arrays on Earth, basking in the warm embrace of the sun. The victory was bittersweet for humanity, who had proved their strength, but felt the weight of the loss that had come with it. As they prepared for what was to come next, a new chapter awaited. In the aftermath of the conflict, The leaders of Earth convened at the newly established Solar Council, a gathering place situated in orbit above the planet. They aimed to chart a course for the future, one that included not just survival, but exploration and understanding. Delegates from various factions, including scientists, engineers, and even artists, gathered to discuss their approach to the Varthans and the broader universe. Among them was Dr. Elena Voss, a leading astrophysicist who had played a pivotal role in developing Solaris technology. Her vision was clear. "We need to offer them a hand, not a fist," she said, addressing the assembly. "Our strength lies in collaboration, not conquest. If we can show the Varthans that we seek to understand, rather than dominate, we might forge a new alliance." A murmur of agreement rippled through the council, but others voiced skepticism. Commander Marcus Hale, a decorated war hero, stood to speak. "And what if they come back with vengeance? We just defeated them, but they're proud warriors. They won't easily forget the losses they suffered here. We need to be prepared for another attack." Elena countered, "But if we prepare for war, we risk becoming what they were seeing the stars only as trophies. We have the potential to explore and understand this universe. Imagine what we could achieve if we worked together." After hours of debate, the council reached a consensus. They would send a diplomatic envoy to the Varthans, hoping to open a dialogue. Elena was chosen to lead the mission, her passion and intellect seen as vital assets in this uncertain venture. Days later, the envoy ship, named the Hope's Horizon, set off from Earth, its hull glinting in the sunlight. A crew of scientists, diplomats, and security personnel accompanied Elena, all brimming with anticipation and anxiety. The vastness of space stretched before them, and as they navigated toward the Varthan homeworld of Kael'thar, the stakes felt monumental. Upon arrival, they were greeted by a grand spectacle. The Varthan planet was a vibrant jewel, adorned with sprawling cities that sparkled like constellations in the night sky. Yet, there was an underlying tension, palpable even from orbit. The coalition had not seen their defeat as a total loss. They were merely regrouping, rethinking their strategy. As the envoy ship landed in the capital city of Varnes, Elena felt a wave of apprehension wash over her. The grandeur of the Varthan architecture was overwhelming, and the throngs of citizens watching their arrival filled her with unease. Stepping off the ship, she was met by the Varthan Council, their luminous forms casting long shadows in the golden light of their twin suns. "Welcome, Earth Envoy," greeted High Counselor Tareth, a tall figure with shimmering scales that shifted colors with every movement. "You come in peace after an act of war. How do you justify this?" Elena stepped forward, her heart pounding. "We come not to justify, but to reconcile. We understand the fears that fueled our conflict, but we believe that there is more to gain by working together. Humanity has no desire for domination. We seek understanding and exploration. We invite you to share in that vision." Tareth regarded her with a calculating gaze. "You claim to offer collaboration, yet you wield a weapon born of the sun itself. How do we trust that this alliance will not turn into a tool of oppression?" "It won't," she replied, her voice steady. "But the choice is yours. We can either live in constant fear of one another or explore the cosmos as partners. Imagine what we could learn from each other. The secrets of our stars, the mysteries of life beyond our worlds, it's all waiting for us." Silence enveloped the chamber as the council exchanged glances. It was clear that Elena's words had struck a chord, yet doubt lingered in the air. Finally, Tareth nodded. "You will have an opportunity to demonstrate your intentions. A joint expedition to the Terax Nebula is set to commence. We will see how you handle this journey together." Elena's heart raced. The Terax Nebula, a swirling mass of colorful gases and celestial phenomena, was a place of mystery that even the coalition had approached with caution. A joint expedition would be their first real test, a chance to prove that cooperation could yield greater rewards than conflict. Preparations for the expedition unfolded rapidly. Both human and Varthan scientists worked side by side, sharing knowledge and technology. The shared excitement overshadowed initial hesitations, and Elena watched as walls began to crumble. she found herself forming friendships with her Varthan counterparts, exchanging ideas about energy manipulation and astrophysics. One evening, as they reviewed navigation charts, Elena bonded with Varthan engineer Rylan. "You know," Rylan said, his scales shimmering in the dim light, "we thought humans were reckless and chaotic, but you seem different. Your passion for exploration is infectious." Elena smiled. "We're all just trying to understand our place in the universe. Isn't that what binds us?" As the days passed, they prepared the Unity, a state-of-the-art vessel equipped with both human and Varthan technology. The ship was designed to withstand the unpredictable phenomena of the nebula, and as launch day approached, Elena felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. When the day finally arrived, the crew assembled on the deck of the Unity, ready to embark on their journey. Tarath and several members of the Varthan Council joined them, signaling their commitment to the mission. As the ship took off, a sense of unity washed over the crew. They soared past the vibrant hues of the solar system, and soon the Tarax Nebula loomed ahead, a swirling vortex of colors and light. It was unlike anything they had ever seen, a place where the laws of physics seemed to bend and dance. Entering the nebula, the ship encountered turbulent currents of energy. Elena and Rylan worked together, using their combined knowledge to stabilize the vessel. As they navigated through the chaotic beauty of the nebula, they discovered phenomena that neither civilization had fully understood. Together, they took readings and collected samples, their excitement palpable. But amidst the wonder, an unexpected storm surged through the nebula. A wave of energy struck the ship, sending it spiraling out of control. Alarms blared, and the crew scrambled to regain stability. "Rylan, can you reroute power to the stabilizers?" Elena shouted, her heart racing. "I'm on it," he responded, fingers dancing across the control panel. "But we need more energy than we can draw from the ship alone." Thinking quickly, Elena tapped into the Solaris energy, redirecting it through the ship's systems. "If we can harness enough of the nebula's energy, we can stabilize the ship." As they worked in tandem, the bond between humans and Varthans solidified. Together, they combined their technologies, channeling energy from the nebula while drawing on the ship's solar reserves. The storm intensified, but they were determined not to succumb to chaos. Finally, after an intense struggle, the Unity steadied. They broke free from the storm's grip, emerging into a breathtaking calm. The nebula's colors shimmered around them, vibrant and alive. The crew erupted in cheers. They had not only survived but thrived together. The experience cemented their alliance, and the collaboration between the two civilizations had transformed into genuine friendship. As they collected their data, Elena and Rylan stood side by side, gazing at the wonders surrounding them. "We did it," Rylan said, awe evident in his voice. "We did," Elena replied, feeling a sense of accomplishment swell within her. "Imagine what we can achieve next." Upon their return to Earth, the celebration was grand. The success of the expedition had forged a bond between humans and Varthans that none had anticipated. The Solar Council received them with open arms, eager to learn about their discoveries and the significance of their collaboration. But the peace was not without its challenges. In the shadows, factions within the coalition still harbored resentment toward humanity. They viewed the alliance as a weakness, a betrayal of their superiority. Whispers of rebellion began to circulate, threatening the fragile alliance. One evening, as Elena and Rylan were debriefing the council on their findings, alarms suddenly blared throughout the city. A Varthan warship had breached the perimeter, its intent clear. Panic spread like wildfire. The council convened in an emergency session, their previous optimism now overshadowed by looming danger. "This is a violation," shouted a member of the council, his scales bristling with anger. "They challenge our authority, believing we've become weak." Elena stepped forward, her heart racing. "We can't let them divide us. We need to act as one. If we respond with force, we risk losing everything we've worked for. We must reach out to them." Tarath regarded her with skepticism, but acknowledged the gravity of the situation. "You speak of understanding, yet they have made their intentions clear. How do we ensure our survival? By showing them that we're united, Elena urged. If we fight among ourselves, we'll lose. But if we stand together. Elena's voice resonated in the chamber, echoing off the grand walls. This is a moment of truth for both our civilizations. We need to reach out, show them that we won't succumb to fear. We'll offer them a chance to discuss their grievances. As murmurs of dissent filled the room, Ryland stood beside her. I agree with Dr. Voss. An act of aggression will only deepen the rift. We must communicate our resolve to protect what we've built together. We'll send a message. The High Council deliberated, weighing the risks of sending a diplomatic envoy into a volatile situation. Finally, Tarth nodded, his shimmering scales reflecting a blend of determination and concern. Very well. We will send a communication vessel. Dr. Voss, your experience in navigating these waters will be invaluable. You will accompany the envoy. Elena felt a mixture of dread and excitement. This was a crucial moment not just for her, but for the future of both their civilizations. As she and Ryland prepared to depart, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were stepping into a tempest. The envoy ship, the Crescent Dawn, launched from Varnes, carrying Elena, Ryland, and a team of Varthan diplomats. As they approached the warship hovering ominously in the darkness of space, tension crackled in the air. The enemy vessel, the Berserker, bore the insignia of the faction opposed to the Alliance, one that believed in the supremacy of Varthan technology and might. As the envoy ship drew closer, Elena sent out a message. This is Dr. Elena Voss of Earth, representing the united interests of the Interstellar Coalition. We seek dialogue, not conflict. Please respond. Silence hung heavily over the comms, and Elena glanced at Ryland, who looked equally tense. Finally, a voice crackled through, deep and imposing. You dare to approach? You speak of unity while our warriors gather. What makes you think we will not obliterate you? Elena swallowed hard, steadying herself. We understand your anger, but fighting among ourselves will only lead to destruction. We invite you to join us, to express your grievances. Together, we can forge a new path that honors both our peoples. After a long pause, the voice replied, You are naive, human. You believe words can alter the course of history? Our ancestors did not bow to any. We will not start now. Ryland leaned closer, his voice low. Elena, we need to show strength, not just words. Perhaps a demonstration of our capabilities will convince them. I agree, she replied, contemplating their options. But how do we show that without inciting further violence? The Varthan diplomat accompanying them spoke up, his scales a deep crimson. If we can harness energy from the nebula, we could create a display, something spectacular that illustrates our cooperation without violence. Elena's mind raced with possibilities. Yes, we'll show them what we achieved together, a demonstration of unity and power. It might convince them that collaboration is a stronger path than war. The Crescent Dawn began to maneuver closer to the nebula's edge, and as they approached the swirling colors, Elena activated the ship's solar collectors. They began channeling energy from the surrounding cosmic phenomena, creating a massive, radiant light show that illuminated the void. Let's amplify the display, Ryland suggested, his eyes gleaming with excitement. They activated the ship's defensive systems, which synchronized with the nebula's energy, creating a dazzling array of colors that danced in harmony. As the spectacle unfolded, the crew aboard the Berserker fell silent, captivated by the radiant display. Elena sent out another message. This is the power we can harness together. Imagine what we could accomplish if we unite our strength. Join us in building a future that honors both our histories. After a tense moment, the comms crackled again. You offer light while we offer might, but perhaps there is merit in your proposal. We will hear you. Stand down and prepare to board. Relief washed over Elena, but her heart raced as they received the signal to dock. The opportunity to engage with the opposing faction could either lead to peace or ignite a firestorm. The docking bay of the Berserker was a stark contrast to the Crescent Dawn. Dim and foreboding, it radiated power and intimidation. As they disembarked, Elena's group was met by the imposing figure of the warship's commander, a hulking Varthan named Vorak, known for his fierce demeanor and uncompromising nature. "Welcome, humans. You dare to speak of unity in the shadow of our might," Vorak growled, his voice resonating through the chamber. Elena stepped forward, unwavering. "We do not wish to challenge your strength, Commander Vorak. We want to explore the potential for cooperation. Our display was meant to illustrate what we can achieve together." Vorak scrutinized her, his eyes narrowing. "You expect me to believe that after your people defeated our warriors, we have lost honor, and for that, we seek retribution?" "Honor can be rebuilt," Rylan interjected, stepping beside Elena. "But it can only be done through understanding. We are not your enemies. We are allies who can learn from each other." Vorak considered this, his face a mask of skepticism. "And what proof do you have? Words alone will not suffice." Elena took a deep breath, knowing that this was her chance. "We propose a joint exploration of the Terax Nebula. We can learn from its mysteries together. If we can face the unknown as one, it may show that our alliance is stronger than any single faction." The warship commander turned away, pacing the dim floor, his thoughts clearly weighing heavily on him. After several moments, he paused, looking back at them. "You speak of courage and exploration, yet you've shown nothing but defeat. If you wish to regain our trust, you must prove your worth." "What do you propose?" Rylan asked. "Take part in a trial, a competition in the nebula's heart, where each side demonstrates their technological prowess. The winner shall claim the right to lead any future exploration missions," Vorak declared, his voice echoing with authority. Elena exchanged a glance with Rylan, who nodded, his expression resolute. "We accept," she replied, her heart pounding. "But let's make it clear, this is not just about winning or losing. This is about proving that we can collaborate to achieve greater goals." Vorak's lips curled into a thin smile, but it was devoid of warmth. "So be it. Prepare for the trial. You have until the next cycle to ready your best technology." Back aboard the Crescent Dawn, the atmosphere was charged with urgency. The team gathered to brainstorm strategies for the upcoming trial. Elena laid out their objectives, but she could sense the anxiety among her crew. "We need to showcase our strengths without underestimating theirs," she emphasized. "Our Solaris technology gives us a unique advantage, but we can't rely solely on it." Rylan interjected. "What if we combined our expertise? Use both our systems to create something neither side has seen before?" Elena's eyes sparkled with inspiration. "Yes, let's create a vessel that leverages both Varthan and human technologies, a hybrid that showcases our best qualities." As they brainstormed, they realized they needed to focus on more than just speed or power. They aimed to create a ship that could adapt to the nebula's volatile environment while utilizing both solar and Varthan energy manipulation techniques. Working day and night, they collaborated on the design of the Unity's Heart, a sleek vessel that merged their technologies. It would be equipped with Varthan shields capable of absorbing energy from the nebula and human solar arrays that could redirect and amplify that energy. On the eve of the trial, Elena stood on the observation deck of the Crescent Dawn, staring out at the nebula. The vibrant colors danced and swirled, and she couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and fear. The next day would determine the fate of their alliance. Rylan joined her, his presence calming. "No matter the outcome, we've accomplished something remarkable," he said, gazing at the swirling colors. "We've shown that collaboration is possible, even in the face of adversity." Elena smiled, grateful for his support. "Together, we've built something beautiful. No matter what happens, we've opened doors." The next day, they arrived at the trial grounds within the Terax Nebula, a place where swirling gases and brilliant colors created an ethereal backdrop. The Berserker loomed nearby, a symbol of the challenges they faced. As the two teams assembled, Vorak stood before them, flanked by his elite warriors. "Today, we shall see if your alliance holds merit," he proclaimed. "You will race through the heart of the nebula, navigating its treacherous currents and demonstrating your technological superiority. May the best team win. Elena felt a surge of determination. We will not just race, we will explore together. Let's show that our collaboration is our greatest strength. With that, the countdown began. The vessels revved to life, their engines humming with energy. The air was thick with anticipation as the nebula's beauty morphed into a chaotic swirl of color. As the race began, the Unity's heart surged forward, its sleek design cutting through the gas clouds. Elena and Rylan. As the countdown reached 0, the Unity's heart surged forward, propelled by a harmonious blend of human ingenuity and Varthan technology. Elena felt the familiar rush of adrenaline as they entered the heart of the Terrax Nebula. The colors enveloped them in a kaleidoscope of hues, swirling and pulsating with energy. "Stay focused," Elena called out to her crew. "We've trained for this." Rylan's fingers danced over the controls, expertly adjusting their course as they navigated the chaotic currents. "We need to anticipate the energy shifts. The nebula's pulse can be unpredictable." As they maneuvered deeper into the nebula, Elena felt the vessel responding to every command as if it were an extension of herself. The hybrid technology they had created was a marvel, allowing them to absorb energy from the nebula while also using their Solaris reserves. Ahead, the Berserker shot forward, its sleek Varthan design gliding through the colorful mist with an aggressive grace. Elena noted the crew on board. Their expressions were fierce, determined to reclaim their honor. She knew that they wouldn't hold back. The first challenge appeared in the form of a swirling vortex, a phenomenon created by the interplay of energy within the nebula. "They're trying to force us into that vortex," Rylan shouted, his voice edged with urgency. Elena steered the Unity's heart to the left, narrowly avoiding the vortex's pull. "We can use its energy," she exclaimed, sensing the currents. "Rylan, redirect the flow." With quick coordination, they angled the ship to absorb the vortex's energy, transforming the threat into an advantage. The vessel surged forward, propelled by the harnessed energy, and they shot ahead of the Berserker. But Vorak and his crew were not easily deterred. They quickly adjusted their tactics, unleashing a burst of energy that sent a shockwave through the nebula. The Unity's heart jolted as the turbulence shook its frame. "Hold steady," Elena shouted, gripping the control panel as she fought against the ship's sudden movements. "We can't let them disrupt our course." Rylan quickly recalibrated their energy shields, channeling excess energy into stabilizers. "We're losing ground," he yelled. "We need to counterattack." In that moment, Elena knew they had to show the Varthans their potential. "Let's demonstrate the full capabilities of our hybrid technology. Prepare the energy discharge." With precision, they redirected energy from both the Solaris systems and the absorbed nebula energy into a concentrated beam. The vessel glowed with a brilliant light as they aimed at the Berserker. "On my mark," Elena commanded, feeling the power coursing through the ship. 3, 2, 1, now." They unleashed a magnificent burst of energy, a dazzling display that arced through the nebula like a comet. The blast struck the Berserker, causing their shields to flicker and dim, but it wasn't enough to bring them down. Vorak roared with fury, his ship weaving through the vibrant chaos as they rallied. "Your tricks will not save you," he bellowed, engaging their own weapon systems. Elena could see the determination in Vorak's eyes, the desperation of a commander fighting for honor. The atmosphere grew tense, and the stakes became apparent. They were not just racing anymore. They were engaging in a battle of wills. "Keep an eye on their energy output," Rylan instructed, scanning the controls. "If they unleash their full firepower, we'll need to be ready to absorb it." As they prepared, the nebula responded to the chaos. Energy surged around them, and lightning-like discharges illuminated the space. The very essence of the nebula seemed to reflect their struggle, a cosmic embodiment of their conflict. Suddenly, a massive wave of energy erupted from the Berserker, and Elena's heart raced. "Brace for impact," she shouted as the wave barreled toward them. They redirected their shields to absorb the incoming energy, but it was more than they anticipated. The Unity's heart trembled as the energy coursed through their systems, pushing them to the brink. "Rylan, stabilize the shields. We need to channel that energy back," Elena called out, her voice rising above the din. Rylan worked furiously, his fingers flying across the controls as he attempted to maintain equilibrium. "I'm trying. We're nearing maximum capacity." Elena felt the pressure building inside her, the weight of the moment pressing down. "We can't let this be our end. We've come too far to back down now." With a final surge of will, she took a deep breath, focused her energy, and shouted, "Redirect all power to the forward shields. If we can harness this, we can turn the tide." The ship responded, a radiant glow enveloping the Unity's heart as they absorbed the energy wave. Elena could feel the power within them growing, swirling and pulsing in time with the nebula's rhythm. "Now," Ryland shouted, a fierce glint in his eye. "Unleash it." They released the accumulated energy in a brilliant flash, an explosion of light that cascaded through the nebula. The beam struck the Berserker, and Elena watched as Vorak's vessel was momentarily blinded by the brilliance. The crew aboard the Unity's heart cheered, exhilarated by their shared triumph. But they knew the battle wasn't over. Vorak was a formidable opponent, and they could not underestimate his resolve. "Keep your eyes open," Elena warned, sensing the shift in the nebula around them. "He won't give up easily." As the aftershocks of the energy exchange settled, Vorak's ship emerged from the chaos, its hull battered but still functional. The look on his face was one of grim determination. "Impressive, humans," he declared over the comms, his voice tinged with respect. "But the trial is not over. You have merely shown that you can withstand our might. Now, let's see if you can outsmart us." As if on cue, Vorak activated a maneuver that sent the Berserker hurtling toward a dense section of the nebula, where swirling gases created a mesmerizing but treacherous maze. "Follow if you dare," he taunted, disappearing into the vibrant colors. Elena's heart raced. "He's trying to trap us in the maze. We have to stay sharp, Rylan. Plot a course." With adrenaline coursing through her veins, she took the helm, following Vorak's path as they entered the maze. The nebula closed around them, and the swirling gases created illusions, twisting their perception of direction. "Don't lose sight of him," Rylan urged, his eyes scanning the sensors. "If we can get ahead, we can cut him off." Elena gritted her teeth, focusing on navigating the chaotic currents while keeping their target in sight. As they weaved through the vibrant maze, she felt the ship respond to her every command. Suddenly, they emerged into a clearing, a vast pocket of space illuminated by the nebula's radiant colors. But Vorak was nowhere to be seen. "Where did he go?" she murmured, glancing around. "Look!" Ryland shouted, pointing to a shimmer of light in the distance. "He's trying to flank us." Elena turned the ship sharply, her instincts guiding her. "We need to anticipate his moves. If he's trying to get behind us, we can use that to our advantage." They adjusted their course, heading toward the shimmering light where Vorak had vanished. As they entered the next section of the maze, the colors began to pulse rhythmically, responding to the tension in the air. "Watch for energy fluctuations," Ryland called, tracking their surroundings. "If he's harnessing the nebula's power, we can use it against him." Elena's heart raced as they maneuvered through the twisting paths. They were closing in on Vorak, who had managed to find a position of concealment. But Elena wouldn't allow fear to take hold. They had come too far. "Rylan, prepare to deploy our energy siphon," she ordered, her mind racing with strategy. "If we can siphon some of his energy, it might give us the edge we need." With quick adjustments, they calibrated the siphon, allowing it to absorb energy from the surrounding nebula while preparing to target Vorak's ship. As they rounded a corner, the Berserker suddenly emerged from the shadows, ready to strike. Vorak's eyes locked onto them, filled with fierce resolve. "You think you can outsmart me?" he roared, unleashing a barrage of energy blasts. Elena acted instinctively, redirecting their shields to absorb the incoming fire. "Rylan, now!" she shouted. The siphon activated, sending a surge of energy toward Vorak's ship, attempting to disrupt his systems. For a brief moment, Vorak appeared disoriented, and Elena seized the opportunity. "Go, go, go," she urged, gunning the engines as they darted past the berserker. With a quick maneuver, they positioned the Unity's heart directly in Vorak's path, forcing him to make a split-second decision. The nebula pulsed around them, creating a wall of energy that shielded their ship. "Now let's see how you adapt," Vorak growled, his ship thrumming with energy as he attempted to regroup. But Elena was ready. With her pulse quickening and her heart pounding, she saw this as their moment to turn the tide. "Rylan, ready the energy siphon for a full discharge," she commanded. "We need to catch him off guard." Rylan nodded, his eyes fixed on the control panel as he prepared the systems. "It's now or never, Elena. We need to make this count." Elena steered the Unity's heart with precision, maneuvering it to keep a steady line between their ship and the approaching berserker. The nebula crackled with energy, swirling around them, and she felt the tension build like a taut string ready to snap. "Vorak will expect us to retreat or hide. Let's surprise him with a direct approach," she declared, determination flooding her voice. The colors of the nebula danced wildly around them, reflecting the intensity of the moment. As they hurtled forward, the berserker fired another round of energy blasts, but Elena expertly guided the Unity's heart through the barrage, using the nebula's shifting currents to her advantage. The ship darted left, then right, dodging Vorak's attacks with a mix of skill and luck. "Almost in position," Rylan called out, adjusting their energy siphon's aim. "Just a little closer." Elena felt the surge of energy building within them, an exhilarating rush that filled her with confidence. "Now, release the siphon." With a brilliant flash, the siphon discharged, a beam of energy arcing toward the berserker. The blast struck true, enveloping Vorak's ship in a cocoon of absorbed energy. For a moment, the berserker shimmered as the siphon siphoned off a portion of its power. Vorak's ship shuddered, and Elena could see the confusion on his face through the comm feed. "What trickery is this? You think this will stop me?" he shouted, his voice laced with fury. The berserker tried to adjust its systems, but the siphon had disrupted its energy balance. Vorak struggled to regain control, and in that moment, Elena seized the advantage. "Rylan, let's push our energy reserves to the max. We can't let him recover," Elena shouted, feeling the adrenaline course through her. As they poured all available energy into their propulsion systems, the Unity's heart surged forward like a comet, racing toward the berserker. "Lock on with the solar arrays. We can amplify our energy output," Rylan instructed, his excitement palpable. Elena followed his lead, recalibrating their systems as they drew closer. "On my mark," she called, feeling a fierce sense of purpose. As they neared the berserker, Vorak's vessel began to stabilize, his crew scrambling to regain control. "You will not claim victory here," he bellowed, a fierce determination lighting his eyes. "Now," Elena shouted. The Unity's heart unleashed a concentrated beam of energy, a dazzling display that illuminated the surrounding nebula. The blast struck the berserker, cascading across its shields and causing a shock wave that rippled through the space around them. "Hold steady, we can't let up," Rylan urged, his fingers deftly adjusting the energy output. Vorak, visibly rattled but still formidable, responded with a furious counterattack. "I will not yield. Prepare for full assault." The berserker unleashed a series of powerful energy blasts, targeting the Unity's heart with ruthless precision. Elena felt the vibrations through the ship as they dodged and weaved, narrowly avoiding the onslaught. "Stay agile. Use the nebula as cover," Elena shouted, her heart racing. They danced through the chaos, the colors of the nebula swirling in a frenzied blur around them. In the midst of the chaos, Elena couldn't help but feel the weight of their mission. This trial was about more than just winning. It was about forging a future together. The stakes had never been higher. "Rylan, we need to focus on one final push. If we can outmaneuver him and draw him into the energy storm ahead, we can end this," Elena proposed, her mind racing with possibilities. Rylan nodded, his expression fierce. "We can use the storm to our advantage. It could amplify our energy even further." With newfound determination, Elena turned the ship toward the energy storm that raged within the nebula, a swirling vortex of light and power. "This is it. Let's show him what we're made of." They navigated through the colorful chaos, each twist and turn fueling their resolve. The Unity's heart became an extension of their will, moving with agility and grace as they approached the storm. "Ready the energy discharge. This will be our final strike," Elena commanded, her voice steady. As they entered the storm, the ship hummed with energy, and Elena felt the power building within them. Colors erupted around them, a stunning display that illuminated the chaos of the nebula. "Lock onto the Berserker. Aim true," Ryland shouted, excitement and tension mingling in the air. With adrenaline coursing through her veins, Elena took a deep breath, focusing on their target. "Now, release everything we've got." The Unity's heart unleashed a spectacular blast of energy, a brilliant wave of light that surged through the storm. The beam arced toward the Berserker, enveloping it in a radiant explosion of color and power. Vorak's voice cut through the comms, filled with shock and rage. "You dare to." The energy wave struck the Berserker, and for a moment the cosmos held its breath. The force of the blast sent the Berserker reeling, its shields flickering and dimming under the onslaught. Elena felt a surge of triumph mixed with concern. "Did we do it?" she asked, her heart racing. As the light dissipated, Vorak's ship emerged from the storm, battered but still functional. He looked at them, a mixture of respect and frustration in his eyes. "You fought well, humans, but you have not won yet." Elena's heart sank. Vorak's resilience was admirable, but they had to press the advantage. "We can't let him regroup," she urged. But Vorak wasn't done. "Prepare for a final assault," he shouted to his crew, determination flashing in his eyes. With renewed vigor, Vorak's ship began to charge its energy systems, preparing for one last push. The tension in the air thickened as both ships readied for the inevitable clash. "Rylan, can we siphon any more energy from the storm?" Elena asked, her mind racing for solutions. "We can try," Rylan replied, his fingers flying over the controls. "But we need to be strategic. If we can absorb enough energy, we might tip the scales." Elena nodded, her determination unwavering. "Let's do it. Redirect all non-essential systems to the siphon." They dove back into the energy storm, maneuvering through the wild currents. The Unity's heart hummed with energy as they sought to absorb the raw power swirling around them. As they glided deeper into the storm, the colors enveloped them, creating a mesmerizing dance of light. Elena felt a rush of hope. They were close. They could turn the tide if they could siphon enough energy to enhance their capabilities. "Almost there," Ryland shouted, adjusting the siphon's aim. "Just a bit more." The storm surged with energy, and Elena guided the ship expertly, feeling the cosmic winds push them forward. "Hold steady, we're almost in position." Suddenly, a massive energy pulse erupted from the storm, and Elena felt the ship shudder under the force. "Brace yourselves," she shouted as they absorbed the wave, harnessing its power. As the Unity's heart surged forward, Vorak's ship emerged from the storm, its weapon systems primed for attack. "Prepare to meet your end," he roared. Elena gritted her teeth. "We have to unleash everything we've absorbed, now." With all the power they had gathered, she released a colossal beam of energy toward the Berserker. The blast surged forth, a radiant torrent that illuminated the dark void. Vorak's eyes widened in shock as the beam struck, the force pushing his ship back. The Berserker shuddered violently, its systems overloaded by the energy wave. "No!" Vorak shouted, but it was too late. The combined force of the storm's energy and their own overwhelmed his ship's defenses. The Berserker erupted in a brilliant flash, a dazzling display of light that filled the nebula. Elena felt a mix of triumph and concern, knowing this moment marked a pivotal shift in their struggle. As the light faded, the Berserker drifted, damaged but not destroyed. Vorak's voice came over the comms, subdued yet filled with a new understanding. You have proven your strength, humans. But this battle is only the beginning. There will be consequences. Elena's heart raced as she processed his words. We don't want more conflict. We want to build something together, to find common ground, she replied, her voice steady. Vorak was silent for a moment, the weight of his decision evident. Perhaps we can talk. I have much to consider. Elena felt a surge of hope as Vorak's voice softened. Perhaps, amidst the chaos of the nebula, a new path could be forged not just for them, but for the future of their species. Let's establish a truce, she said, her determination unwavering. We can work together to harness the power of the nebula for both our peoples. Vorak's ship drifted cautiously, its systems flickering. You speak of cooperation after we've exchanged blows in battle, he asked, skepticism lacing his tone. Yes, Elena replied earnestly. But this conflict has shown us both that we're stronger together than apart. There's too much at stake. The nebula holds secrets and resources that could benefit both our civilizations. Let's not waste this opportunity. The silence hung heavy in the air as Vorak considered her words. Elena could feel the weight of his gaze, a mixture of respect and wariness. You have shown bravery today, human, but trust is earned through actions, not words. Elena nodded, understanding the gravity of the moment. Then let's take the first step together. We can start by investigating the nebula, learn from its mysteries, and share what we find. You and your crew can see our intentions firsthand. Vorak sighed, the tension in his posture easing slightly. Very well. I will accept this truce for now. But be warned, if you betray this trust, I will not hesitate to reclaim what is mine. Fair enough, Elena said, relief flooding through her. Let's set a course to the nebula's center. There's much we need to learn. As they began to move, Ryland's voice broke through the tension. We've absorbed a significant amount of energy from the storm, but the Unity's heart needs some recalibration. We can't push our systems too hard. Elena nodded, glancing at the control panel. Ryland, can we allocate some of that energy to enhance our sensors? We need to scan for anomalies and any resources that could be useful for both our peoples. On it, Ryland replied, fingers dancing over the controls. I'll also run a diagnostic on our shields. We want to be prepared for anything, just in case. As they adjusted their course, the vibrant colors of the nebula swirled around them, casting kaleidoscopic shadows on the ship's interior. Vorak's berserker drifted alongside them, its hull still scarred from their earlier conflict. Elena glanced over at Vorak, whose expression had shifted from one of hostility to cautious curiosity. What do you seek in this nebula? She asked, wanting to bridge the gap between them. There are legends of ancient technologies hidden within its depths, Vorak replied, his voice taking on a contemplative tone. My people believe that if we can unlock its secrets, we can regain our former glory. Glory can be fleeting, Elena remarked, her gaze fixed ahead. True strength lies in collaboration, in forging connections rather than seeking power alone. Vorak met her gaze, and for a moment, the animosity that had marked their encounter seemed to fade. Perhaps you are right, but for centuries, my people have known only war. It will take time for us to change. Elena smiled, feeling a flicker of hope. Every journey begins with a single step. Let's take that step together. As they approached the heart of the nebula, the energy pulsated with a rhythm all its own. The colors deepened, forming intricate patterns that seemed to dance before their eyes. Entering the core now, Ryland announced, his voice steady as he piloted the ship. We'll need to proceed carefully. The energy fluctuations could be intense. Elena felt a thrill run through her as they crossed into the heart of the nebula. The view was breathtaking, a swirling vortex of color and light, an otherworldly landscape that defied explanation. It's beautiful, she whispered, captivated by the cosmic display. Vorak nodded, awe creeping into his demeanor. Indeed, we have often underestimated the beauty of the cosmos. It has been overshadowed by our desire for dominance. As they delved deeper, the sensors began to pick up unusual readings. Ryland's brow furrowed as he studied the data. There's an energy source ahead. It's massive, and it appears to be fluctuating in a regular pattern. Could it be the ancient technology? Elena asked, her heart racing with excitement. Let's investigate. They maneuvered the Unity's heart closer to the source, and Vorak's ship followed suit. As they approached, a colossal structure began to take shape, a shimmering crystalline formation that pulsed with vibrant energy. "What is that?" Ryland murmured, his eyes wide. "It looks like some sort of energy conduit," Elena said, her mind racing with possibilities. "If we can harness its power, it could revolutionize our technologies." Vorak's gaze was intense as he took in the sight. "This could indeed change everything," he admitted, a hint of respect in his tone. "But we must proceed with caution. It could be unstable." As they navigated closer, the structure began to resonate with their ship's energy signatures. The crystals refracted light, casting dazzling patterns throughout the chamber. "Engaging the sensors for a deeper scan," Ryland said, his fingers moving deftly across the console. "We need to understand what we're dealing with." Elena felt a wave of anticipation as the data streamed in. "This structure appears to be a repository of energy. It might have been created by an ancient civilization that once inhabited this nebula. Or it could be a trap," Vorak cautioned, his eyes narrowing. "We cannot let our guard down." Just then, the entire chamber pulsed with a surge of energy, and the crystalline structure began to hum. A wave of light surged outward, washing over both ships. Elena shielded her eyes, feeling a powerful energy wash over her. "Ryland, report," she shouted over the increasing hum. "Energy levels are spiking. It's responding to us," he exclaimed, his voice tinged with excitement and fear. "We need to stabilize our systems before we're overwhelmed." Elena quickly recalibrated their energy shields, redirecting power to absorb the fluctuations. The chamber filled with light, creating a dazzling display that enveloped them both. "What's happening?" Vorak yelled, his voice filled with urgency. "I think it's recognizing our presence," Elena said, feeling the pulse of the structure resonate with her heart. "We need to find a way to communicate with it." "Communicate?" Vorak echoed, skepticism returning. "With a relic of an ancient civilization?" "It's a chance we have to take," Elena insisted. "If we can synchronize our energy with its rhythm, we might be able to unlock its potential." Vorak hesitated, but the intensity of the moment drew him in. "Very well. What do we need to do?" "Align our energy signatures," Elena instructed, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "We'll need to coordinate our output to match its rhythm. It's risky, but it might just work." With a nod, Vorak signaled to his crew. "Do as she says. We have nothing to lose." As they focused their energy, the chamber thrummed with power. Elena felt a connection, forming a bond forged in the heat of battle and the desire for understanding. "On my count," Elena said, her heart racing. 3, 2, 1, now." They synchronized their energy output, channeling it toward the crystalline structure. The chamber erupted with light, a dazzling display of colors that seemed to come alive. The energy waves intertwined, forming a brilliant tapestry of light and sound. Elena felt a rush of exhilaration as the connection deepened. It was as if the nebula itself was awakening, responding to their collaboration. Suddenly, the structure pulsed in response, releasing a wave of energy that enveloped both ships. Elena gasped as visions flooded her mind, images of an ancient civilization thriving in harmony, using the very energy they were now trying to harness. "Do you see that?" she whispered, overwhelmed by the visions. "It's showing us its history." Vorak's expression shifted as he absorbed the spectacle. "Incredible! This is a testament to what can be achieved when we unite our strengths." As the visions faded, the crystalline structure began to stabilize, the energy calming into a rhythmic pulse that resonated with both ships. "We did it!" Ryland shouted, his excitement contagious. Elena smiled, a sense of triumph washing over her. We've awakened something profound. This energy can change our worlds. Vorak's voice was filled with awe. Together, we can learn from this and create a new future, no longer at war, but as allies. Elena felt a sense of elation. Let's document everything we've seen. This knowledge can reshape our understanding of the nebula and each other. As they worked together, the Unity's heart and the Berserker began to chart the crystalline structure's properties, capturing the data and refining their approach to harness the energy. Hours passed, and the atmosphere shifted from tension to collaboration. Vorak and Elena found themselves discussing their cultures, sharing stories that bridged the gap between their worlds. "Your people have a rich history," Vorak remarked, studying the data displays. "There is strength in your unity, even amidst your differences." Elena smiled, appreciating his acknowledgement. "And your resilience is admirable. It speaks to the power of your spirit, even after years of conflict." As they continued their work, the atmosphere on the Unity's heart and the Berserker transformed into one of camaraderie. Elena and Vorak exchanged ideas, blending their knowledge of technology and energy manipulation. Rylan, busy at the control panel, occasionally chimed in with insights that further bridged the gap between their cultures. "We need to enhance our understanding of this energy field," Rylan suggested, adjusting the sensor arrays. "If we can map its fluctuations, we can predict its behavior and learn how to harness it safely." "Excellent idea," Elena said, her excitement palpable. "Let's synchronize our scans and combine our findings. Vorak, can you provide data on your people's previous encounters with this energy?" Vorak nodded, his expression serious. "My people have always approached this nebula with fear. We believed it to be a source of destruction rather than a wellspring of potential. We have lost many ships trying to exploit its resources." Elena felt a pang of sympathy. "That's the challenge we face, shifting perceptions and overcoming fear. But if we can demonstrate the benefits of working together, we can change the narrative." With their ships now aligned in purpose, the crew members from both vessels worked side by side, sharing knowledge and techniques. The nebula thrummed around them, its colors shifting and swirling in harmony with their combined efforts. As the hours passed, they developed a detailed map of the energy fluctuations. The crystalline structure began to respond to their efforts, its pulse syncing with their findings. Elena's heart raced with excitement. This was more than just a mission. It was a chance to redefine their futures. "Look at this," Rylan exclaimed, pointing at the holographic display. "The energy fluctuations are stabilizing in certain patterns. If we can harness these points, we could create a controlled energy source." Vorak leaned closer, intrigued. "This could power entire cities, even spacecraft. We could use it to fuel our technologies without the need for destructive mining." "Exactly," Elena said, her enthusiasm infectious. "This could be the beginning of a new era for both our peoples." As they continued to chart the data, the atmosphere inside the ships shifted further. Elena found herself laughing with Vorak, their earlier animosity a distant memory. They shared meals and stories, slowly breaking down the barriers that had divided them for so long. One evening, as they gathered for a meal in the Unity's heart, Elena leaned back in her chair, contemplating their journey. "It's incredible how far we've come in such a short time. Just a few days ago, we were enemies, and now—" Vorak met her gaze, a hint of a smile on his face. "And now we stand on the precipice of a new alliance. Your people have shown us that unity can be more powerful than division. I believe we can create a council, a place where our civilizations can collaborate on future projects," Elena proposed, her excitement bubbling over. "We can establish protocols to share technology, knowledge, and even culture." Vorak considered her words. "A council would require trust and commitment, but I believe we have laid the foundation for that trust." "Let's take it one step at a time," Rylan chimed in, looking up from the console. "First, we need to stabilize this energy source. Once we've proven its reliability, we can discuss the next steps." "Agreed," Elena said, her focus shifting back to the holographic map. Let's prepare for the next phase of our exploration. As they resumed their work, the energy patterns began to stabilize further. They created a detailed plan to extract and harness the energy safely. The crystalline structure responded positively to their coordinated efforts, and they felt a tangible sense of accomplishment. Days turned into weeks, and their partnership deepened. Vorak's crew became regular guests on the Unity's Heart, participating in joint training sessions and sharing their own techniques. Elena and Vorak found themselves collaborating more seamlessly, their mutual respect growing into something deeper. One day, as they sat together analyzing the latest data, Vorak turned to her. "You know, I never expected to find such kinship here in the nebula. Your perspective has changed how I view my own people." Elena felt warmth spread through her chest. "And you have shown me the strength of resilience. Your people have endured so much, and yet here we are, on the brink of something beautiful." As they spoke, the energy chamber pulsed with a rhythm that echoed their newfound friendship. The crystalline structure shone brighter, reflecting their optimism and hope for the future. One evening, after a particularly successful day of research, Vorak suggested they take a break. "We've earned some time away from the consoles. Let's explore the nebula. I want to show you a place of significance to my people." Elena's curiosity piqued. "I'd love that. Lead the way." They boarded the Berserker, and Vorak piloted the ship into a section of the nebula Elena had never seen. The colors shifted dramatically, bathing them in brilliant hues of blue and gold. "This is one of the sacred spots of my people," Vorak explained, guiding the ship to a halt in front of a colossal crystalline formation. "We believe it to be a gateway, a bridge between worlds." Elena stared in awe at the structure before them. It rose majestically, its facets sparkling like diamonds against the backdrop of swirling gas and light. "It's stunning," she breathed, captivated by its beauty. Vorak smiled, pride evident in his expression. "This place has been revered for generations. It is said that those who meditate here can connect with the essence of the universe." "Shall we?" Elena asked, her heart racing with anticipation. Vorak nodded, and they both stepped out onto the crystalline surface, the light refracting around them in a dazzling display. They settled into a meditative posture, allowing the energy of the nebula to wash over them. As they closed their eyes, Elena felt a profound connection to the cosmos. The hum of the nebula enveloped her, and visions danced behind her eyelids, images of swirling galaxies, vibrant ecosystems, and beings from distant worlds. It was a tapestry of existence, woven together by the threads of energy and light. In that moment, she sensed Vorak beside her, his energy intertwining with hers. It was as if they were two strands in a greater design, connected to each other and the universe itself. "Do you feel it?" Vorak's voice echoed in her mind, a soft whisper amidst the cosmic symphony. "Yes," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's beautiful. We are all part of this vast tapestry." As they meditated, a sense of peace settled over them. The conflict of the past began to dissolve, replaced by a vision of unity and collaboration. They envisioned their peoples coming together, sharing knowledge, and creating a brighter future. After a long while, they opened their eyes, the glow of the nebula illuminating their faces. "That was incredible," Elena said, still feeling the energy coursing through her. Vorak looked at her, his expression thoughtful. "We have the potential to create something greater than either of us could achieve alone." Elena smiled, feeling a deep connection to him. "Together, we can change the course of our history." As they returned to their ships, the atmosphere buzzed with excitement. Their collaboration had proven fruitful, and they had forged not just an alliance, but a friendship that transcended their previous animosities. "Let's prepare for our next steps," Ryland said as they reboarded the Unity's Heart. "We should discuss how to introduce this energy source to both our peoples." Elena nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. "We can create a joint task force to oversee the extraction and utilization of the energy. We need to ensure that both our cultures benefit equally." Vorak agreed. "And we must address the concerns of our people, There will be those who are resistant to change. Transparency will be key, Elena said firmly. We can show them the benefits and emphasize the importance of collaboration. Over the following weeks, they implemented their plans. The joint task force, comprising members from both ships, worked tirelessly to extract and stabilize the energy source. The atmosphere was charged with a sense of purpose and shared ambition. News of their discoveries spread through both civilizations, and they organized a summit to present their findings. Representatives from both sides gathered on the Unity's heart, the air thick with anticipation. As they presented the data and shared their visions for a united future, Elena felt a mix of pride and anxiety. This was a pivotal moment, and she hoped it would resonate with their leaders. Vorak stood beside her, his presence reassuring. Together, we can overcome the divisions of the past, he said, addressing the assembly. We have the chance to create a future defined by cooperation, understanding, and progress. As the discussions unfolded, the energy in the room shifted. Many of the attendees expressed skepticism, but Vorak's passionate words began to sway opinions. Elena took a deep breath, stepping forward to share her perspective. We've seen the benefits of collaboration firsthand. This energy can empower our civilizations, and it represents the potential for unity. Together, we can achieve what we never could alone. As the debates continued, Elena felt a sense of hope blooming in her chest. The tides were turning, and both sides began to see the promise of a shared future. After a long day of negotiations, the leaders finally reached a consensus. We will form a council to oversee the joint utilization of this energy source, one elder proclaimed, his voice steady. We will learn from each other, grow together, and build a new legacy. Elena felt a surge of triumph as the elder's words echoed through the chamber. The council would be a turning point, a formal recognition of their collaboration and the potential for a united future. The room buzzed with murmurs of agreement, a wave of excitement washing over the assembly. Vorak stood beside her, pride reflected in his eyes. This is just the beginning, he whispered, leaning closer. We have taken the first step toward a new era. As the discussions concluded, the representatives exchanged contact information, ready to collaborate on the next phases of energy extraction and joint projects. Elena felt a rush of optimism. They had created a bridge between their civilizations that had once seemed impossible. Once the assembly dispersed, Vorak and Elena took a moment to breathe. That was intense, she said, trying to suppress her excitement. But I think we really made an impact. Vorak nodded, his expression serious. Yes, but we must remain vigilant. Change does not come easily. There will be those who resist. I know, Elena replied, her tone determined. But together, we can face any challenge. This energy can transform both our worlds, and it's our duty to show that to our people. As they returned to their respective ships, the atmosphere was charged with possibility. They set a date for the first council meeting, and Elena felt a sense of purpose driving her forward. The council would be a forum for ideas, innovation, and unity, a chance to reshape their futures together. In the following weeks, both ships worked tirelessly to stabilize the energy from the nebula. The crystalline structure had become a beacon of collaboration, and teams from both civilizations operated side by side, sharing expertise and knowledge. Elena and Vorak spent long hours in the energy chamber, troubleshooting issues and brainstorming solutions. Their friendship deepened, built on mutual respect and shared experiences. They laughed together, reminisced about their respective cultures, and forged bonds that transcended their differences. One evening, after a particularly productive day, they sat on the deck of the Unity's heart, gazing out at the vibrant colors of the nebula. Do you ever wonder what lies beyond this nebula? Vorak mused, his gaze fixed on the swirling lights. What other civilizations have thrived in the cosmos? I do, Elena replied, her mind wandering to the possibilities. The universe is vast, and we're just beginning to explore it. Imagine the knowledge we could gain, the connections we could forge. Vorak turned to her, a spark of intrigue in his eyes. Perhaps we should consider expanding our council to include other species. If we can show the benefits of our collaboration, we might inspire others to join us. Elena felt a thrill at the idea. That could be revolutionary, a coalition of civilizations united for progress and understanding. Vorak's expression shifted to one of contemplation. But it would require careful planning. We must ensure that our message resonates with others. Trust takes time to build. I agree, she said. We need to showcase our successes first. Let's focus on the energy project and demonstrate its potential. Over the next few weeks, they worked diligently, preparing for the first council meeting. They compiled data, outlined potential projects, and brainstormed ways to engage their respective leaders. The excitement in the air was palpable as they prepared to present their findings. Finally, the day of the council meeting arrived. Representatives from both civilizations gathered in the main chamber of the Unity's heart, the atmosphere charged with anticipation. Elena stood at the forefront, flanked by Vorak and key members from both crews. "Welcome," Elena began, her voice steady. "Today, we embark on a new journey together, a journey defined by collaboration and understanding. We have the opportunity to harness the energy of the nebula for the benefit of both our peoples." As she spoke, she noticed a mix of skepticism and curiosity in the crowd. Vorak stepped forward, reinforcing her message. "Together, we have already begun to stabilize the energy source, and I believe that with your support, we can achieve even greater things." Rylan stood beside the display, activating the holographic projections that illustrated their findings. "This energy can be used to power cities, enhance technology, and even support life beyond our worlds," he explained, gesturing toward the data. As the visuals illuminated the chamber, murmurs of interest spread through the crowd. Elena could see the intrigue building, and she pressed on. "We've created a framework for joint projects. This council will oversee the extraction and application of this energy, ensuring that both our peoples benefit equally." The discussions began in earnest, with representatives asking questions and sharing their concerns. Elena felt a mix of exhilaration and anxiety, but Vorak remained by her side, providing support and insights. One elder raised a hand. "What guarantees do we have that this energy will not be exploited? History has shown us the dangers of unchecked power." Vorak addressed the concern, his voice calm and authoritative. "We understand the fear. That is why we propose a system of checks and balances, a council comprised of members from both civilizations. Decisions will be made collaboratively, ensuring transparency and fairness." Elena nodded in agreement. "We want to build trust through our actions, not just words. By working together, we can set a precedent for future cooperation." The discussions continued late into the evening, with passionate debates emerging. As the representatives shared their perspectives, Elena felt a sense of hope growing. They were tackling tough questions and addressing concerns head-on, forging a foundation of trust. At last, they reached a consensus. The council would be established, and work would begin immediately to harness the energy source in a controlled manner. The room erupted in applause, and Elena's heart swelled with pride. "Together, we have taken a significant step forward," she said, beaming at the representatives. "Let's show our peoples what is possible when we unite." As the meeting concluded, Vorak turned to her, a glimmer of admiration in his eyes. "You were remarkable today. Your vision and passion are inspiring." Elena felt a blush creeping onto her cheeks. "Thank you, Vorak. I couldn't have done it without your support." In the weeks that followed, the council began to take shape, and both civilizations rallied around the energy project. They set up joint teams to oversee the extraction process, ensuring that all protocols were followed with transparency and collaboration. Elena and Vorak worked closely together, overseeing the progress and navigating the challenges that arose. The energy source was proving to be more stable than they had anticipated, and they began to explore its applications further. One day, as they reviewed the latest data, Rylan entered the chamber with a wide grin. "You won't believe what we've just achieved. The energy extraction is exceeding our expectations. Elena's eyes lit up. That's fantastic. How much are we able to harness? Almost double what we initially projected, Rylan exclaimed. We can use this to power new technologies. This could be a game changer for both our peoples. Vorak's expression shifted to one of determination. We must capitalize on this momentum. Let's prepare a demonstration for our leaders, a showcase of what we can achieve together. Over the next few weeks, they organized a grand demonstration, inviting leaders, scientists, and engineers from both civilizations. The energy chamber was transformed into a showcase of innovation, filled with displays that illustrated the potential of their collaboration. On the day of the demonstration, the atmosphere was electric. Representatives from both sides gathered, their expressions a mix of skepticism and anticipation. Elena stood at the forefront, alongside Vorak and Rylan, ready to present their findings. "Welcome, everyone," Elena began, her voice steady. "Today, we stand together to demonstrate the incredible potential of our joint efforts. This energy source is not just a resource, it represents our commitment to collaboration and progress." As Rylan activated the holographic displays, the chamber filled with vibrant visuals showcasing the energy extraction process. Vorak stepped forward, explaining the intricacies of their work and the safeguards they had implemented. The energy chamber pulsed with a rhythmic glow, resonating with the excitement in the room. Elena felt a thrill of hope as they showcased their advancements, illustrating the potential for sustainable energy and technological innovation. As the demonstration progressed, she could see the skepticism begin to fade. Representatives leaned in, captivated by the possibilities before them. They shared ideas and engaged in discussions, the atmosphere shifting from doubt to enthusiasm. By the end of the demonstration, Elena felt a sense of accomplishment wash over her. They had successfully illustrated the potential of their collaboration, and she could sense the growing support among their leaders. Vorak turned to her, his expression proud. "You did it, Elena. This is a pivotal moment for both our peoples." She smiled, a warmth spreading through her. "We did it, Vorak. Together." As they celebrated their achievements, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The energy source was only one piece of the puzzle. There were countless opportunities for collaboration beyond this project. In the following weeks, the Council met regularly to discuss future initiatives. They explored the possibility of interstellar exploration, cultural exchanges, and joint research projects that could deepen their understanding of the universe. One day, as they sat in the council chamber, Elena looked around at the faces of her colleagues, both human and Vorak's kin. "I believe we should consider establishing a joint exploration team," she proposed, her excitement palpable. "There are uncharted regions of space beyond this nebula that could hold more secrets." Vorak nodded, his eyes bright with enthusiasm. "That's a brilliant idea. We could uncover new resources, new technologies, and perhaps even new allies." The council erupted into discussion, brainstorming potential missions and objectives. Ideas flowed freely, and Elena felt a sense of exhilaration as the possibilities unfolded before them. As discussions flourished, a shared vision emerged, a coalition dedicated not only to harnessing energy, but to exploring the cosmos together. Elena couldn't help but feel a spark of excitement. This was more than just a project. It was a chance to redefine their existence and lay the groundwork for a more interconnected future. Weeks passed as plans solidified. The council devised a structure for their exploration initiative, outlining objectives, responsibilities, and potential missions. They envisioned teams composed of both humans and Vorakians, each member bringing unique skills to the table. As the launch date approached, preparations intensified. Teams worked diligently, training together, sharing knowledge about their respective technologies, and fostering camaraderie. The energy chamber continued to hum with activity, now serving as a hub for collaboration and innovation. Elena often found herself reflecting on how far they had come. Just a few months prior, she had been staring into the abyss of the nebula, a mere observer of its mysteries. Now, she stood at the forefront of an alliance that promised to explore not just their local systems, but the very fabric of the universe itself. One evening, as the sun set behind the nebula, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, Elena and Vorak stood on the deck of the Unity's heart. The air was thick with anticipation. "We've achieved so much in such a short time," Elena said, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "But I can't help but wonder if we're ready for what lies ahead." Vorak turned to her, his expression thoughtful. "Exploration comes with its own set of challenges. We may encounter unknown dangers, but we will face them together. That is the strength of our alliance." "Together," Elena echoed, feeling a warmth spread through her. Their bond had strengthened, evolving from mere colleagues to trusted friends. She had come to rely on Vorak's insights and calm demeanor. As the day of the expedition finally arrived, excitement buzzed through the crew of the Unity's Heart and the Berserker. They had gathered in the main chamber to review the mission objectives and finalize preparations. Elena stood before her team, heart racing. "Today marks a pivotal moment in our shared history. We're embarking on a journey to uncover the mysteries of the cosmos. Together, we will forge a path into the unknown." The crew erupted in cheers, the energy palpable. Vorak stepped forward, addressing the mixed group of humans and Vorakians. "We have worked tirelessly to reach this point. Our partnership symbolizes hope, resilience, and innovation. Let's honor that spirit as we embark on this journey." With their spirits high, they boarded their ships, preparing to set course for the uncharted regions beyond the nebula. Elena took a moment to appreciate the camaraderie that had blossomed between the crews. This was more than a mission. It was a testament to their hard work and dedication. As they entered the cockpit of the Unity's Heart, Rylan ran a final systems check. "All systems are go, ready for launch," he announced, his enthusiasm contagious. Elena exchanged a glance with Vorak, a shared sense of purpose evident in their expressions. "Let's do this," she said, and they set their course. The engines roared to life, and the ship surged forward, breaking free from the familiar confines of the nebula. The stars stretched out before them, a vast expanse of possibilities. As they ventured into uncharted territory, the ships navigated through a stellar sea, scanning for anomalies and potential points of interest. The crew was abuzz with anticipation, eager to uncover what lay beyond the nebula. Days turned into weeks as they explored various systems, cataloging planets, asteroids, and unusual energy signatures. Each discovery brought with it new knowledge and opportunities for collaboration. The crews bonded further, sharing stories and experiences, learning from one another. One day, while scanning a distant system, Rylan's voice cut through the chatter. "Elena, you need to see this." Elena rushed to the control panel, her heart racing. On the screen, a planet spun slowly, its surface dotted with vibrant colors and swirling clouds. "What are those readings?" she asked, scanning the data. "High levels of energy emissions similar to what we detected in the nebula," Rylan replied, his eyes wide with excitement. "We should investigate further." Vorak leaned closer, studying the data. "If the energy signatures match, we could uncover valuable resources. This could be a major discovery for our coalition." Elena nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. "Let's prepare for landing. We'll need to gather samples and analyze the atmosphere." The crew sprang into action, excitement palpable. As they approached the planet, the vibrant colors became more pronounced, and the ship's sensors began to detect complex energy patterns. "Touching down in 3, 2, 1, Rylan announced, and the Unity's Heart settled onto the planet's surface with a gentle thud. Elena and Vorak led the team out of the ship, their boots crunching against the alien soil. The air was thick with humidity, and the vibrant flora surrounding them pulsed with colors they had never seen before. "Look at that!" Rylan exclaimed, pointing to a massive tree-like structure in the distance. Its branches glowed with a soft luminescence, casting ethereal shadows on the ground. Elena felt her heart race as they ventured closer. "We should take samples. This could be a new species of flora." Vorak knelt beside a cluster of luminescent plants, examining their properties. These energy signatures are unlike anything we've encountered. It's as if they're drawing energy from the atmosphere itself. As the team gathered samples and data, they stumbled upon a clearing filled with more of the glowing flora. In the center stood a massive crystalline structure, mirroring the one they had seen in the nebula. Elena's breath caught in her throat. "This looks like a nexus of energy," she whispered, captivated by its beauty. Vorak nodded, his expression serious. "We need to be cautious. This could be a source of immense power, but we must understand it before proceeding." Rylan began scanning the crystalline structure, the readings pulsing on his screen. "I'm detecting high energy levels. We should set up a perimeter and monitor the area." As they worked, a sense of wonder filled the air. The team collaborated seamlessly, their skills complementing one another. Elena couldn't help but feel that this moment encapsulated everything they had worked for: a shared purpose, a collective drive to explore and learn. Suddenly, an alarm blared from the control panel on the Unity's heart. Rylan's voice crackled over the comms. "We have incoming readings, multiple ships approaching fast." Elena's heart raced. "What kind of ships?" "Unknown configuration, but they're armed. We need to get back to the ship now." Vorak's expression hardened. "We may be facing a threat. Stay alert." The team quickly gathered their samples and data, their excitement turning to tension as they sprinted back to the ship. The alien landscape blurred past them as they raced against time. As they reached the Unity's heart, Elena climbed aboard, her heart pounding. "Rylan, what's the status?" Rylan was already at the control panel, his fingers flying over the keys. "The ships are entering the atmosphere, 3 of them, and they appear to be on an intercept course." "Prepare for launch," Vorak commanded, his voice steady despite the urgency. "We need to get out of here." With adrenaline coursing through her veins, Elena took her seat beside Rylan. "Can we activate the energy shielding?" "Activating now," Rylan replied, sweat beading on his forehead. The ship hummed with power as they initiated the shielding. As the ships approached, their sleek designs glinted menacingly in the sunlight. Elena's heart raced as she saw weapon systems activating. "We need to move now." The Unity's heart lifted off, engines roaring to life. They broke through the atmosphere just as the first hostile ship fired a warning shot, the blast illuminating the space around them. "Rylan, plot a course for the nebula," Elena shouted, gripping the control panel. "I'm on it," Rylan replied, his fingers dancing across the controls. The ship surged forward, narrowly avoiding another blast from the pursuing ships. Vorak's voice was calm, yet firm. "We need to stay coordinated. Keep an eye on our 6 if they're pursuing. They're not just here for a friendly chat." As they navigated through the starry expanse, Elena felt a surge of determination. They had come too far to let this setback deter them. "We can't let them intimidate us. We have to protect our discoveries and our alliance." Rylan nodded, sweat dripping from his brow. "I'm plotting evasive maneuvers. Hang on." The Unity's heart twisted and turned through the cosmos, weaving between asteroids and debris as the enemy ships continued their pursuit. Elena's heart raced as she felt the tension building. "Vorak, can we establish a communication channel?" she asked, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Maybe we can negotiate." Vorak nodded, his expression resolute. "It's worth a try. We need to show them that we are not an easy target." As they activated the communication system, Rylan spoke into the mic. "This is the Unity's heart, calling the approaching vessels. We seek dialogue. State your intentions." A crackle filled the air, and a voice responded, laced with authority. "Passing through a restricted zone. You are not authorized to explore these regions. Stand down and prepare for boarding, or we will be forced to engage." Elena's heart sank, but she forced herself to stay calm. "This is Elena Drayton, captain of the Unity's heart. We come in peace and seek only to explore and learn. We have no hostile intentions." There was a moment of silence. Then the voice replied, "You are explorers? Your presence here raises suspicions. We have encountered others who sought resources without permission." Vorak interjected, "We are part of a new coalition, a partnership formed to share knowledge and resources for mutual benefit. We mean no harm to your territory." The response was cold and dismissive. "Your coalition means nothing to us. If you do not comply, we will take action." Elena felt a rush of frustration. "We can provide proof of our peaceful intentions. We are working with a civilization that seeks to foster understanding, not conflict. We have discoveries that may be of interest to you." There was another pause, this time filled with tension. "Very well. You have 5 minutes to prove your claims. If we are not convinced, we will engage." Elena exchanged glances with Vorak and Rylan. "What do we do?" Rylan asked, anxiety evident in his voice. "We show them what we've discovered," Elena said, her determination hardening. "We'll share our findings about the planet and the energy source. It's our best chance to turn this situation around." Vorak nodded, his brow furrowed in concentration. "I can prepare a summary of our data. If they see the potential benefits, they may reconsider." Elena took a deep breath, ready to face the unknown. "Rylan, can you send them the information through the communication channel? Let's show them what we found." Rylan nodded, his fingers flying over the console. "Uploading data now. Let's hope they see the value in what we've uncovered." As the data transmitted, Elena felt her heart race. Time was running out, and she could sense the urgency in the air. The voice crackled back to life. "Data received. Analyzing." The seconds felt like hours. Elena held her breath, praying that their discoveries would resonate with their pursuers. Finally, the voice returned. "Your findings are intriguing. You have discovered an energy source that could be beneficial to many civilizations. However, we must still consider the implications of your presence here." Vorak stepped forward, his voice steady and authoritative. "We are prepared to collaborate. We can offer our findings in exchange for knowledge and guidance. Our goal is to explore and create connections, not to exploit resources." There was a long pause, and Elena could almost hear the gears turning in the minds of their adversaries. "Your intentions are noted. However, you must be prepared for our terms. We will escort you back to our territory for further discussions. Any sign of resistance will be met with force." Elena felt a mix of relief and apprehension. "Understood. We will comply. But we request that you allow our crew to remain together. We are stronger as a team." "Agreed," the voice responded. "But any attempts to deceive us will not be tolerated." As they prepared to follow the lead ships, Elena glanced at Vorak. "This could be our chance to turn this situation into an opportunity. If we can negotiate with them, we may gain allies rather than enemies." Vorak nodded, his expression thoughtful. "True, but we must remain cautious. Trust is earned, not given freely." The Unity's heart and the escorting ships navigated through the stars, heading toward a massive space station that loomed ahead. It was an imposing structure, filled with sleek lines and advanced technology, a stark contrast to the beauty of the nebula they had just explored. Once docked, they were greeted by a contingent of armed guards. The atmosphere shifted, tension palpable, as they escorted Elena, Vorak, and Rylan through the station's corridors. The sleek walls shimmered with energy, and the sounds of machinery filled the air. They arrived in a large conference room, a long table set against a backdrop of large windows overlooking the cosmos. The guard stood at attention as an imposing figure entered the room, a tall, armored individual with piercing eyes and an air of authority. "Welcome, explorers," the figure said, their voice deep and resonant. "I am Commander Zelorn. You are in the territory of the Etherians. You have much to answer for." Elena stood tall, meeting Zelorn's gaze. "Commander, we appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. We come in peace, seeking knowledge and collaboration." Zelorn raised an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed. Your presence in our territory raises questions. Why should we trust you? Vorak stepped forward. We have already shared our findings regarding the energy source we discovered. Our intention is to collaborate, not to exploit. The energy could benefit multiple civilizations, including yours. Zelorn regarded them silently for a moment, then gestured for them to sit. Very well. We will discuss this further, but know that any sign of deceit will lead to dire consequences. Elena and Vorak exchanged glances, a mix of determination and caution evident in their expressions. They took their seats, and Zelorn began to outline the Etherians' perspective on interstellar relations. The Etherians value power and control above all else, Zelorn explained. We do not take kindly to outsiders encroaching on our territory without permission. Your coalition is of little concern to us unless it serves our interests. Elena leaned in, her voice steady. We believe that mutual cooperation can lead to greater benefits for all involved. We have already demonstrated our commitment by working together with the Varakians. Our goal is to create a network of alliances that fosters peace and understanding. Zelorn listened, a flicker of interest crossing his face. You propose an alliance? What guarantees do we have that you will honor such a commitment? Vorak interjected. We can create treaties that outline our intentions and responsibilities. We will ensure transparency in our dealings, and we are willing to share our findings and technology with you. Elena could see Zelorn contemplating their words, the tension in the room palpable. You claim to have valuable resources and knowledge. What will you offer in return for our trust? Elena took a deep breath, her mind racing with possibilities. We can provide access to the energy source we discovered. We will work together to harness its power, sharing the results equally among our civilizations. In return, we ask for knowledge of your advanced technologies and insights into your society. Zelorn's gaze sharpened. You ask for much. However, your offer does present potential benefits. We are willing to consider it, but you must prove your sincerity. What do you propose? Vorak asked, his voice steady. Demonstrate your commitment by working alongside our scientists and engineers to further study the energy source, Zelorn replied. If you succeed, we will discuss further cooperation. If you fail, we will consider your actions an act of aggression. Elena nodded, feeling a flicker of hope. We accept your terms, Commander. We will work tirelessly to prove our dedication to this partnership. Zelorn leaned back in his chair, studying them intently. Very well. You will be assigned to our research division. We will monitor your progress closely. Fail to meet our expectations, and the consequences will be severe. As they left the conference room, Elena felt a mix of anxiety and determination. They had a chance to turn a potential conflict into an opportunity for collaboration, but the stakes were higher than ever. Back aboard the Unity's Heart, they regrouped with their crew. We have been given a chance to work alongside the Etherians, Elena said, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. But we need to stay focused. We must prove ourselves. Vorak nodded, his expression serious. We can do this. We have the knowledge and the resources to succeed. We must work as a team and demonstrate our value. Over the following days, Elena and Vorak collaborated closely with Etherian scientists and engineers. They presented their findings on the energy source, sharing data and insights. The atmosphere in the lab was tense but charged with potential. As they delved deeper into their research, they encountered challenges. The energy source was more complex than they had anticipated, requiring innovative solutions and teamwork. Tensions occasionally flared, but they remained focused on their goal. One day, as they worked late into the evening, Vorak turned to Elena, his expression thoughtful. This is more than just a test of our abilities. It's a chance to show the Etherians that cooperation can yield positive results. Elena nodded, her determination solidifying. If we succeed, it could pave the way for a new era of collaboration between our civilizations. Weeks passed, and progress was made. The energy source began to yield promising results, and both teams celebrated small victories. Elena felt a sense of camaraderie growing between them, a shared purpose that transcended their differences. But lurking beneath the surface was the ever-present tension. The Etherians were wary, and the pressure to succeed loomed large. Then, one fateful day, disaster struck. During an experimental test of the energy extraction process, a surge of power overwhelmed the systems, causing a catastrophic failure. Alarms blared, and chaos erupted in the lab. "Shut it down! Shut it down now!" Elena shouted, her voice cutting through the panic. As he desperately tried to stabilize the fluctuating energy levels, sparks flew from the equipment, and the air filled with acrid smoke. The Etherian scientists scrambled to contain the chaos, their expressions a mix of fear and determination. "Rylan, can you assist with the backup systems?" Elena called out, her heart pounding as she surveyed the scene. She could see the panic in her crew's eyes, but she knew they had to act fast. "On it," Rylan shouted, diving into action. He sprinted toward the auxiliary control panel, fingers flying over the keys as he worked to regain control of the systems. "Vorak, can you reroute the power from the primary to the secondary grid?" Elena asked, trying to maintain her composure. Vorak nodded, sweat glistening on his brow. "I'll need a few seconds to make the adjustments. Keep an eye on those readings." As Elena monitored the chaotic energy levels, she felt a surge of frustration. They had worked so hard to establish trust with the Etherians, and now it was on the brink of collapse. She refused to let this setback define them. "Everyone, focus," Elena shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We can't let this situation spiral out of control. We need to work together now." The team responded, rallying around her command. Vorak quickly recalibrated the power grid, his eyes locked on the readings. "I'm rerouting now. Rylan, I need you to stabilize the energy fluctuations." Rylan nodded, his focus unwavering as he manipulated the auxiliary systems. "Adjusting the parameters. Come on, come on." The energy readings began to stabilize slightly, but the threat of a larger explosion loomed overhead. Elena's heart raced as she watched the fluctuations. "Vorak, how much time do we have?" she asked, urgency lacing her voice. "Not long. We need to initiate a shutdown sequence, but it will take time to execute," Vorak replied, his brow furrowed in concentration. Elena took a deep breath, considering their options. "We can't just shut it down. If we do, it could cause a backlash. We need to bleed off the excess energy slowly." Vorak's eyes widened as he grasped her plan. "That's risky, but it might work. We can use the stabilizers to vent the energy safely." "Rylan, can you handle the stabilizers?" Elena asked, her heart racing. "I'm on it," Rylan responded, determination shining in his eyes. "Just give me the go-ahead." "All right. On my mark, we'll initiate the venting process." "Everyone, ready?" Elena called, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. 3, 2, 1, now. The team moved in sync, each member executing their part of the plan. Rylan manipulated the stabilizers, carefully venting the excess energy. Vorak monitored the systems, making adjustments as needed. Elena held her breath as they watched the energy readings begin to stabilize. It was working. Slowly but surely, the chaotic fluctuations lessened, and the alarms began to quiet. "Keep it steady, Rylan. We're almost there," Elena urged, her eyes fixed on the control panel. As they continued the process, the atmosphere in the lab shifted from panic to cautious hope. They were working as a cohesive unit, their combined efforts leading them through the crisis. Finally, with one last surge of energy vented safely, the alarm ceased, and the room fell silent. Sweat dripped from their brows as they processed what had just happened. "We did it!" Rylan exclaimed, a wide grin breaking across his face. "We actually pulled it off." Elena let out a breath she didn't realize she was holding. "Great work, everyone. But we need to report this to the Etherians immediately." Vorak's expression turned serious. "This could jeopardize our collaboration if we don't handle it right." As they prepared to meet with Commander Zelorn, Elena felt a knot of anxiety tighten in her stomach. They had faced a significant setback, and she knew the Etherians would not take kindly to the near disaster. When they entered the conference room, Zelorn stood waiting, flanked by several Etherian officers. The atmosphere was tense, the air thick with anticipation. "Commander," Elena began, her voice steady, "we experienced a significant setback during our experiments. We had a surge of energy that nearly caused a catastrophic failure. However, we managed to stabilize the situation without any injuries." Zelorn's eyes narrowed, his expression unreadable. "A setback? You put the entire station at risk. What guarantees do we have that you can be trusted with such power?" Elena stood her ground, determination surging through her. "I understand your concerns, Commander, but we work together as a team to avert disaster. This shows our ability to collaborate effectively, even under pressure." Vorak added, "We learned valuable lessons from this experience. We can improve our systems and protocols to ensure that it doesn't happen again." Zelorn considered their words, his gaze piercing. "Trust is not given lightly. You must prove your intentions. We will be monitoring your progress closely." "Thank you, Commander. We appreciate the opportunity," Elena replied, her heart racing. "We will demonstrate our commitment to safety and collaboration moving forward." As they left the conference room, Elena felt a mix of relief and trepidation. They had survived the crisis, but the path ahead was still fraught with challenges. In the following days, Elena, Vorak, and Rylan worked tirelessly to refine their research. They collaborated closely with the Etherian scientists, implementing new safety protocols and adjusting their experimental procedures. Despite the challenges, progress continued. They began to unlock the secrets of the energy source, uncovering its potential for sustainable power. The more they worked together, the more trust began to build between the teams. One afternoon, as they gathered data from their experiments, Vorak turned to Elena with a thoughtful expression. "I believe we are making real progress. If we can present our findings convincingly, it could lead to a stronger alliance." Elena nodded, her spirits lifted by the prospect. "Let's prepare a comprehensive presentation for the Etherians. We need to highlight the potential benefits of this energy source." As they worked on the presentation, they crafted a detailed outline, emphasizing the possibilities of sustainable energy for both their civilizations. The prospect of cooperation felt more tangible than ever. When the day of the presentation arrived, Elena felt a mixture of excitement and nerves. They gathered in the conference room, the Etherian team waiting expectantly. Zelorn was present, his demeanor stern but curious. "Today, you will present your findings," Zelorn said, his voice steady. "We will evaluate whether your research warrants further collaboration." Elena took a deep breath, stepping forward. "Thank you, Commander, and esteemed members of the Etherian Council. We stand before you today to share the potential of the energy source we discovered on the planet." Vorak joined her at the front, projecting their findings onto the screen behind them. The room filled with visuals of their research, data charts, and stunning images of the energy source. As they presented, Elena could see the Etherians listening intently, their expressions shifting from skepticism to intrigue. They detailed their findings, highlighting the stability and sustainability of the energy source. When they finished, Elena looked around the room, gauging the reactions. Zelorn remained inscrutable, but the Etherian scientists were visibly engaged, discussing the implications amongst themselves. "Your research shows promise," Zelorn finally said, his tone measured. "However, potential is not enough. We need assurance that this energy source can be safely integrated into our technology." Vorak stepped forward. "We are prepared to collaborate on joint experiments, allowing your scientists to work directly with us to ensure safety and efficacy." Zelorn nodded slowly, his expression thoughtful. "If we proceed, it will be under strict oversight. You will work alongside our engineers to adapt this technology for our use." Elena felt a wave of relief wash over her. "We accept those terms, Commander. We will work diligently to ensure the success of our collaboration." As the meeting concluded, Elena and Vorak shared a triumphant glance. They had taken a significant step toward establishing a meaningful partnership with the Etherians. In the following weeks, their collaboration deepened. They worked closely with Etherian engineers, sharing knowledge and expertise as they refined the energy extraction process. The atmosphere shifted from tension to camaraderie, with both teams united in their goals. One day, while working late in the lab, Elena and Vorak took a moment to reflect on their progress. "I can't believe how far we've come," Elena said, a smile breaking across her face. "We're really doing this." Vorak nodded, his expression warm. "Our alliance has the potential to change everything. If we can prove the effectiveness of this energy source, we could set a precedent for future collaborations." Elena's heart swelled with hope. "Imagine what we could accomplish together. This is just the beginning." As they continued their work, the atmosphere was filled with optimism. They had overcome significant obstacles and were on the cusp of a breakthrough that could benefit both civilizations. However, beneath the surface, Elena couldn't shake a lingering sense of unease. The Etherians had been cautious, and she wondered how long it would take for their trust to be fully earned. She knew they had to remain vigilant. Then, one evening, as they reviewed their latest findings, an urgent message arrived from Commander Zelorn. "We must meet immediately. A situation has developed that requires your immediate attention." Elena exchanged concerned glances with Vorak and Rylan. "What do you think this could be about?" Rylan asked, his brow furrowed. "I'm not sure, but it doesn't sound good," Elena replied, her heart racing. "Let's go." They hurried to the conference room, where Zelorn awaited them, flanked by a cadre of Etherian officers. The atmosphere was tense, charged with urgency. "Thank you for coming quickly," Zelorn began, his expression serious. "We have received troubling reports regarding the energy source. A neighboring faction has been monitoring our research, and they have expressed interest in acquiring it for themselves." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "What do you mean by acquiring it?" "The faction in question, the Carrick Syndicate, has a reputation for aggression and exploitation," Zelorn explained, his voice low. "They will not hesitate to take what they want by force. We believe they see your collaboration as a threat to their interests." Vorak's expression hardened. "We need to strengthen our defenses. If they come for the energy source, we cannot allow them to succeed." "Indeed," Zelorn said, nodding gravely. "We must prepare for potential conflict. However, we need your assistance to ensure that our technology remains secure." Elena stepped forward, determination flooding her veins. "What can we do to help? We won't let this opportunity slip away because of external threats." Zelorn regarded her with a mixture of respect and caution. "We will need to increase security measures at the research facility. I suggest that you and your crew assist us in fortifying our defenses and devising strategies to deter the Carrick Syndicate." "Consider it done," Vorak replied. "We have experience in dealing with hostile forces. We can set up surveillance systems and protocols to protect our research." Rylan nodded enthusiastically. "And we can use our technology to create redundancies in the energy extraction process. If the Carrick Syndicate tries to sabotage our work, we can minimize the impact." Zelorn's gaze softened slightly. "I appreciate your willingness to assist. Together, we will stand a better chance of safeguarding what we've worked so hard to achieve." As they began formulating a plan, the atmosphere shifted. The urgency of their situation brought them closer together, forging an alliance built on shared determination. Over the next few days, Elena, Vorak, and Rylan worked side by side with Etherian engineers to enhance the facility's defenses. They installed advanced surveillance systems, creating a network of monitoring stations that would alert them to any unauthorized activity. Elena found herself increasingly impressed by the Etherian technology. Their systems were sophisticated, but there were still gaps where their experience could make a difference. Together, they were able to streamline protocols and create a comprehensive security plan. One evening, as they reviewed their progress in the lab, Elena couldn't shake the feeling of impending danger. What if the Carrick Syndicate decides to attack? We need to have a contingency plan, she said, her brow furrowing with concern. Vorak nodded, his expression serious. We should consider a full evacuation strategy. If it comes to a fight, we need to ensure that our team and the Etherians can retreat safely. Rylan chimed in. We can create safe zones within the facility, equipped with emergency supplies and communication systems. If something goes wrong, we can coordinate our evacuation. Elena felt a surge of pride for her crew. Let's implement that plan. We can't afford to leave anything to chance. As they prepared their defenses, news came from the Etherian Intelligence Unit. Commander, we have confirmed sightings of Carrick's vessels in the vicinity, an officer reported, urgency palpable in their voice. Zalorn's expression darkened. It seems they are making their move sooner than we anticipated. We need to be ready. Elena felt her heart race. What's the status of our defenses? We are as prepared as we can be, Zalorn replied. But the Carrick Syndicate has numbers on their side. We must rely on strategy rather than brute force. Then let's use that to our advantage, Vorak suggested. We can set traps and diversion tactics. If they underestimate us, we might be able to gain the upper hand. As the team gathered around a table to finalize their strategies, tension hung in the air. They worked late into the night, crafting plans and contingencies, a shared sense of urgency fueling their efforts. The following day, as the sun rose over the Etherian space station, Elena and her crew stood ready. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation and anxiety. They had prepared as much as possible, but they knew the real test was about to begin. A message came through from Zalorn. They're approaching. All personnel to battle stations. Elena took a deep breath, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Let's move. They hurried to the control room, where Etherian officers monitored the situation. Viewscreens displayed the incoming Carrick's vessels, sleek and menacing, darting through space toward the station. Deploy the surveillance systems, Zalorn commanded, his voice steady. We need to track their movements. Elena and her crew worked alongside the Etherian officers, activating the surveillance systems and locking onto the Carrick's vessels. The tension in the room was palpable, the weight of their situation heavy on their shoulders. Commander, we're detecting multiple vessels, an officer reported, their voice tight with anxiety. They're attempting to surround us. Elena's heart raced. We need to implement our diversion tactics now. We can draw them away from the station. Rylan, can you initiate the decoy signals? Vorak asked, urgency lacing his voice. Already on it, Rylan replied, his fingers flying over the controls, creating false readings to lure them away. As the decoy signals activated, Elena watched the Carrick's vessels begin to shift course, drawn toward the false signals. It's working, she exclaimed, a flicker of hope igniting within her. Good. Let's keep them distracted while we fortify our position, Zalorn said, his eyes narrowing as he studied the screens. But just as they thought they had gained an advantage, another report came through. Commander, they've broken through our perimeter defenses. They're launching an attack. Panic surged through the room as alarms blared. Elena's heart sank. We need to evacuate non-essential personnel immediately, she shouted, her voice rising above the chaos. Everyone, follow evacuation protocols, Zalorn ordered, his tone commanding. Rylan, can you set up emergency communication links? On it, Rylan responded, his focus unwavering despite the urgency. Vorak turned to Elena. We need to lead the defense. If we can hold them off long enough, we can protect the research and the people here. Elena nodded, steeling herself. Let's do this. As they moved to the control room, the sound of explosions echoed through the station. The Carrick Syndicate was relentless, their vessels launching assaults on the facility. Prepare the defensive measures, Elena commanded, adrenaline surging through her. We need to protect our research at all costs. Vorak joined her at the control panel, working to enhance the station's shields. We need to divert power to the primary shields. It will hold them off, but we need to act quickly. Rylan continued monitoring communications, relaying information to the crew and coordinating evacuations. We've got non-essential personnel moving to safe zones, he called out. Everyone else needs to get ready for battle. The atmosphere in the control room shifted to one of fierce determination. They had come too far to let their discoveries fall into the wrong hands. Zelorn barked orders, rallying Etherian forces. Prepare to engage. We cannot let them breach the main facility. As the Carrick's vessels continued their assault, Elena and her team fortified their defenses, preparing for the fight ahead. They worked together, their shared purpose igniting a fire within them. Elena glanced at Vorak, determination in her eyes. We need to hold them off until everyone is safe. We can't let them get their hands on the energy source. I won't let that happen, Vorak replied, his expression resolute. The battle raged outside the station, explosions lighting up the darkness of space. The Carrick's syndicate was fierce, their attacks relentless, but Elena and her team stood firm. Adjust the energy beam to target their shields, Vorak shouted, inputting commands into the control panel. Rylan monitored the energy levels, ensuring they had enough power for the defense. We're ready to fire when you are. On my mark, 3, 2, 1, now, Elena shouted, and Vorak initiated the energy beam, targeting the nearest Carrick's vessel. The beam shot through the darkness, striking the enemy ship and causing it to shudder violently. Direct hit, Vorak shouted, excitement surging through him. But the Carrick's forces were undeterred. They regrouped and launched a counterattack, their weapons lighting up the void of space. Commander, we need to reinforce the shield generators, an Etherian officer shouted, urgency etched across their face. Rylan, assist with the shield recalibrations, Zelorn commanded. We can't afford to let them breach our defenses. As the battle continued, the tension escalated. Elena felt the weight of responsibility heavy on her shoulders. She couldn't let fear consume her. They were fighting for something bigger than themselves, the potential for a united future between their peoples. Hold steady, Elena shouted, rallying her crew as they faced the storm of the Carrick's onslaught. We can't falter now. The control room buzzed with activity as Vorak fine-tuned the shield generators. If we can adjust the frequency, we can make our shields more resilient to their attacks. It's risky, but it could buy us some time. Do it, Elena replied, adrenaline coursing through her veins. We need every second we can get. Rylan's fingers flew over the controls as he monitored the energy levels. Shields recalibrated. We should be able to withstand their next barrage. Get ready, Vorak shouted as the Carrick ships regrouped, their weapons charging for another strike. Elena steadied her breath. On my mark, 3, 2, 1, fire. Vorak initiated the beam again, targeting the lead Carrick's vessel. The energy surged forth, striking true and causing the enemy ship to falter. Cheers erupted in the control room, but the celebration was short-lived as a flurry of enemy fire rained down on them. Reinforce those shields, Zelorn barked. We can't afford to lose our position. Elena scanned the monitors, her heart racing. They were making progress, but the Carricks were relentless. Vorak, what's our status on the evacuation? We've got the majority of non-essential personnel to the safe zones, but we need to buy more time for the remaining scientists and engineers, Vorak replied, determination etched in his features. Rylan nodded. I can set up additional communication links to coordinate our evacuation efforts better, but we'll need to keep the Carricks distracted. Elena considered their options. Then we have to escalate our tactics. We can create a diversion to draw them away from the main facility. Are you suggesting a counter-offensive? Vorak asked, raising an eyebrow. Yes, Elena replied, her voice steady. If we can make them think we're attacking, It might give us the edge. We need to get everyone out safely. Zelorn met her gaze, his expression serious. It's a risky move, but it may be our only option. I'm willing to follow your lead, Elena. Let's do it, she said, her heart pounding with determination. Rylan, prepare the decoy signals again. We'll set up a simulated attack on their flank. Rylan's fingers danced over the controls. Creating multiple decoy signals now, they'll think we're hitting them hard from the left side. Vorak began adjusting the energy beam for a simulated attack. I'll modify the power levels to make it look more convincing. This has to work. The room hummed with focus as they executed their plan. The Carrick's forces continued their relentless assault, but Elena felt a spark of hope. They were united, working as one. Ready when you are, Elena, Vorak called, his gaze steady. On my mark, 3, 2, 1, now, Elena shouted. The decoy signals launched, creating the illusion of an all-out assault on the Carrick's flank. Bright flashes illuminated the space, and the enemy ships began to react, diverting their fire and attention toward the fake attack. It's working, Rylan exclaimed, excitement filling his voice. They're pulling away from the main facility. Now's our chance, Elena shouted. Get everyone to the safe zones. Vorak, maintain the beam for as long as you can. As they executed their plan, Elena felt a surge of adrenaline. They were managing to outmaneuver the Carrick's, but she knew they couldn't let their guard down. Commander Zelorn, let's coordinate the final evacuation, Elena said, determination etched in her voice. We need to get the remaining personnel out before they realize what we're doing. Zelorn nodded, his demeanor focused. I'll send my team to secure the safe zones. Let's ensure everyone is accounted for. As they worked, Elena couldn't shake the feeling of impending danger. The Carrick's might be distracted now, but she knew they wouldn't stay fooled for long. Vorak, keep an eye on the Carrick's ships, she called. They could regroup at any moment. Already on it, Vorak replied, adjusting the monitors to track the enemy's movements. We have a few minutes, but they're starting to realize the decoys are fake. Let's not waste any time. Then, Elena shouted, urgency driving her. Rylan, get those evacuation signals out. We can't risk losing anyone. Rylan nodded, activating the emergency communication links. Evacuation protocols initiated. Personnel are on their way to safe zones. As they coordinated the evacuation, the sound of explosions echoed in the background. Elena's heart raced as she monitored the chaos outside. Commander, one of the Ethrian officers called. The Carrick's are regrouping. They've realized our decoys were a ruse. Elena felt her stomach drop. We need to hold them off for just a little longer. Vorak, can you reroute power to the defensive systems? Working on it, Vorak replied, fingers flying over the control panel. If we can strengthen the shields, we might withstand their next attack. Everyone, prepare for another wave, Zelorn ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos. We'll fight until the last personnel is evacuated. Elena felt the weight of responsibility as she prepared for the battle ahead. They had fought so hard to protect their collaboration, and she wasn't about to let it end here. Vorak, how long until those shields are reinforced? She called out. Just a few more seconds, he shouted back, focused on the controls. The Carrick's vessels loomed closer, their weapons charging for an impending assault. Get ready to fire, Elena commanded, her heart pounding. We need to deter them. Vorak completed the adjustments. Shields reinforced. We should be able to hold them off for a while. Let's give them everything we've got, Elena shouted. Fire on my mark. 3, 2, 1, fire. The energy beams shot forth, striking the Carrick's vessels with precision. The control room erupted with cheers, but the joy was short-lived as the Carrick's responded with a furious counterattack. Commander, they're retaliating, an officer shouted, panic creeping into their voice. Hold steady, Zelorn commanded. We need to stay focused. Elena's heart raced as she watched the chaos unfold on the screens. The Carracks were relentless, and she knew they had to find a way to turn the tide. "Vorak, we need to create a power overload in one of the Carrack's ships," she suggested, her mind racing. "If we can take one out of the equation, it might buy us more time." "That's risky," Vorak replied, glancing at her. "But if we can target their reactor core, it could work." "Then let's do it," Elena urged. "We can't back down now." Vorak nodded, determination shining in his eyes. "I'll initiate the overload sequence. Rylan, keep an eye on our energy levels." Rylan nodded, his expression serious as he monitored the systems. "We need to time this perfectly." As they prepared to execute their plan, Elena felt a wave of anxiety wash over her. They were fighting against a powerful enemy, but she refused to give in to fear. "On my mark, 3, 2, 1, initiate overload," Elena shouted. Vorak worked quickly, his fingers moving over the controls as they targeted the nearest Carrack's vessel. The energy levels surged, and they could feel the tension in the air. The beam shot forth, striking the Carrack's ship directly at its reactor core. For a moment, there was silence, and then the ship erupted in a brilliant explosion, lighting up the dark expanse of space. "Direct hit," Vorak shouted, his face alight with exhilaration. "They're losing power." Elena felt a rush of triumph. "We can't let up now, let's keep pushing them." But as they fought back, the Carrack's forces began to regroup. Their numbers were still overwhelming, and Elena knew they needed a new strategy. "Commander, what's our status on the evacuation?" she called out, urgency creeping back into her voice. "Most personnel have reached safe zones, but we need to finalize the remaining group," Zelorn replied, focused on the monitors. "We can't afford to lose anyone." "Let's gather the remaining team and prepare for a tactical retreat," Elena suggested, her heart racing. "We can't hold them off much longer." Vorak nodded, adjusting the energy levels. "I'll ensure we have enough power for a quick exit." Rylan monitored the remaining personnel, coordinating their retreat. "We've got the last group en route to the safe zones. They'll be here soon." Elena glanced at the screens, her heart pounding. The Carracks were regrouping, and they wouldn't be fooled again. "We need to stall them as long as possible," she said, determination in her voice. "Prepare the last line of defense." As the Carrack's forces began their next assault, Elena and her team braced themselves for the fight ahead. They had come too far to let everything they had worked for slip away now. Elena felt a surge of determination. "We need to be strategic," she said, her voice cutting through the tension. "If we can draw them into a narrower corridor, we might be able to maximize our firepower." Vorak nodded, his expression resolute. "We'll need to make use of the station's layout. If we can funnel them through the outer sectors, we can set traps to slow them down." Rylan was already typing away at the control panel. "I can reroute the station's defenses to create choke points. If we can control the flow of their advance, we might hold them off long enough for the last group to evacuate." "Let's do it," Elena said, her pulse quickening. "We're running out of time." With a newfound sense of urgency, the team sprang into action. Vorak coordinated with the Etherian officers, strategizing how to best utilize the station's defenses. Rylan worked tirelessly, rerouting energy and defenses to create a web of traps that would slow the Carrack's advance. Elena monitored the screens, her heart racing as she watched the Carrack ships draw closer. "They're regrouping, but they won't wait long," she warned. "We need to be ready." "Just a few more minutes," Rylan replied, sweat beading on his forehead. "If we can just set these final adjustments." Suddenly, alarms blared again, a sharp, piercing sound that sent adrenaline rushing through the room. "They're breaching the outer defenses," an officer shouted. "They're coming in hot." "Prepare for combat," Zelorn commanded. "All personnel to battle stations." The atmosphere crackled with energy as everyone sprang into action. Elena took a deep breath, trying to steady her nerves. "We'll fight them here, but we need to remain focused," she said, looking at Vorak and Rylan. "Let's stick to the plan." Vorak nodded, his expression determined. I'll manage the shields while you coordinate the traps. Rylan, make sure to keep the communication lines open. As the Carrick ships began their assault, Elena felt her heart race. They were outnumbered, but they had the advantage of knowledge. They could use the station's layout to their benefit. Here they come, Vorak shouted, his hands flying over the controls as the first Carrick's vessels entered their trap zone. The beams of energy fired from the station, lighting up the darkness of space as they struck the incoming ships. Explosions erupted, illuminating the area in a kaleidoscope of color. Keep firing, Elena urged. We need to take out as many as we can. The Carricks responded with a barrage of their own, and the control room shook from the force of the impact. Elena held on to the console for stability, her heart pounding in her chest. Shields holding at 50%, Vorak called out, his eyes darting over the screens. We can't take too much more of this. Rylan, how's the evacuation going? Elena shouted, her voice barely audible over the chaos. Final personnel are almost through the safe zones, Rylan responded, his focus unwavering. But we need to keep the Carricks at bay a little longer. Let's initiate the next trap, Elena commanded, determination flooding her. Vorak, can you give us more power to the shields while we do it? On it, Vorak replied, rerouting energy with precision. As they executed the next phase of their plan, the Carrick's forces continued to press forward. The explosions lit up the blackness of space, and Elena could see the flickering images of enemy ships on the monitors. Now, Elena shouted, and Rylan activated the trap. A series of energy pulses surged through the corridor, striking the advancing Carrick's vessels and causing them to stagger. Yes, direct hits, Vorak shouted, his excitement infectious. But the Carricks were relentless. They regrouped quickly, and their return fire intensified. The control room trembled as another wave of energy blast slammed against their shields. Shields down to 30%, Vorak warned, urgency seeping into his voice. We need to fall back. Rylan, how's the evacuation? Elena asked, anxiety creeping back in. Almost complete, he replied, determination evident in his voice. But we still have to hold out for just a few more minutes. Elena felt the weight of the situation settle heavily on her shoulders. They were fighting not just for themselves, but for the future of their collaboration. She refused to let it end here. Let's push forward, she said, a fierce light in her eyes. If we can maintain control of the command center, we can keep them from reaching the core of the facility. Vorak nodded, determination shining in his eyes. We'll need to use every trick in the book. If we can outsmart them, we might stand a chance. Rylan worked quickly, rerouting the remaining energy to maximize their defenses. We can't let them breach the command center, he urged, his brow furrowed in concentration. Prepare for another wave, Elena shouted, her heart pounding. We'll give it everything we have. As the Carrick's ships advanced, the control room buzzed with activity. Elena felt the tension in the air, every heartbeat echoing the stakes of their situation. Fire, she commanded, and Vorak activated the energy beams. The blast shot forth, illuminating the darkness of space as they struck the incoming ships. More incoming fire, an officer shouted, panic creeping into their voice. Hold steady, Zalorn barked. We can't let them break through. Elena glanced at the screens, determination hardening within her. We can't let them win. We've come too far. As the battle raged on, the Carrick's forces pressed closer, their ships surrounding the station. The control room felt like it was vibrating with the intensity of the fight. Shields down to 10%, Vorak shouted, urgency coursing through him. We can't take much more of this. Rylan, how's the evacuation? Elena asked again, her heart in her throat. Almost done, Rylan replied, his focus unwavering despite the chaos around him. But we need just a little more time. Hold the line, Elena commanded, her voice rising above the din. We can't let them breach the command center. With every ounce of strength they had left, Elena and her team continued to fight back. The energy beams illuminated the dark void, and explosions rocked the Carrick's ships as they surged forward. But the Carrick's forces were relentless. They regrouped, their ships closing in on the command center with terrifying speed. "We're out of time," Zellorn shouted, urgency etched across his face. "We need to fall back to the safe zones." Elena's heart sank. "We can't abandon the research, not after everything we've fought for." "Commander, we have to think strategically," Vorak urged, his expression grave. "If we don't evacuate, we won't have a chance to fight another day." "Okay," Elena said, her voice steady despite the chaos. "We'll retreat, but we need to set up a last-ditch defense. If we can slow them down, we can buy the last personnel enough time to escape." "Agreed," Zellorn replied. "We'll fortify our position and set up a final defense line." As they prepared for their final stand, Elena felt a sense of resolve wash over her. They had come too far to give up now. "Let's move," she shouted, her heart racing as they fell back to the inner chambers of the command center. As they barricaded themselves, the Carrick's forces began their advance, their ships bearing down on them with renewed ferocity. "Ready yourselves," Elena commanded. "We'll make our stand here." With the last of their energy, they fortified the command center, creating barricades and setting traps to slow the Carrick's advance. "Energy levels are critical," Vorak warned, urgency lacing his voice. "We need to conserve what we have left." Rylan monitored the evacuation, ensuring that the last personnel were safely on their way to the safe zones. "We're almost there," he called out, determination radiating from him. As the Carrick's forces breached the outer defenses, Elena felt a rush of adrenaline. They were ready for whatever came next. "Fire on my mark," she shouted, her voice steady despite the chaos surrounding them. "Ready," Vorak replied, his fingers hovering over the controls. Elena could feel her heart pounding in her chest as the Carrick's ships closed in. 3, 2, 1, now. They unleashed a volley of energy beams, striking the incoming Carrick's vessels with precision. The explosions illuminated the darkness of space, and Elena felt a flicker of hope. But the Carrick's were relentless. They regrouped quickly, and their return fire surged toward the command center. "Shields failing," Vorak shouted, his voice strained. "We need to redirect power to the main defenses." "Do it," Elena commanded. "We'll hold them off as long as we can." As the Carrick's forces pressed forward, the command center trembled from the force of their attacks. The sound of explosions echoed in the air, and Elena could feel the tension thickening. "We've got to buy more time," Rylan urged, glancing at the monitors. "The last group is almost out." "The line," Elena shouted, adrenaline surging through her veins. "This is for our future, for everyone who believes in this collaboration." The room reverberated with urgency as they prepared for the final confrontation. Elena glanced around at her team, their faces a mix of determination and fear. She felt the weight of their trust on her shoulders. She couldn't let them down now. "Vorak, reroute every last ounce of energy to the shields," she commanded. "We'll need them to withstand the Carrick's final push." "Understood." Vorak's fingers moved with purpose, frantically adjusting the controls. "Redirecting power now. We might get an extra minute or two, but that's all I can manage." "Rylan, make sure the evacuation protocols are still running smoothly," Elena instructed, her eyes never leaving the screens displaying the advancing Carrick's forces. "We can't afford to lose anyone." Rylan nodded, his brow furrowed in concentration as he monitored the personnel evacuating. "The last group is almost at the main docking bay. Just a few more minutes." Elena took a deep breath, steeling herself for the chaos ahead. "Once they breach our defenses, we'll have to hold them off while the last of the personnel get to safety. This is it." The tension in the control room was palpable as the Carrick ships closed in, their weapons charging for an overwhelming assault. Elena could feel the tremors of the ship beneath her feet as the command center shook with every blast. "Shields at 20%, Vorak shouted, urgency lacing his voice. "They're going to break through any second." Stand firm, Elena cried, her heart racing. We're not giving up without a fight. As the Carrack ships entered the command center's range, Elena shouted, "Fire!" Beams of energy shot forth, striking the Carrack's vessels with all the force they could muster. Explosions erupted, illuminating the darkness of space with brilliant flashes. Cheers erupted in the control room, but the moment was short-lived as the Carracks retaliated with overwhelming firepower. "Shields failing! Shields failing!" Vorak yelled, panic creeping into his tone. "We're losing power fast." "Redirect whatever's left," Elena commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos. "We have to hold them off for just a few more minutes." Suddenly, alarms blared, and the room shook violently. "They're breaching the outer defenses," an officer shouted, fear evident in their voice. "Prepare for boarding," Zalorn commanded, his expression steely. "Everyone, get ready." Elena's heart raced as the doors began to buckle under the Carrack's assault. "We've fought too hard to let them take this place," she declared, rallying her team. "We'll hold the line together." With a fierce determination, they braced themselves for the impending breach. The sound of metal groaning and the explosion of energy blast echoed in the command center. As the doors burst open, Carrack's warriors surged into the room, their fierce presence filling the air with tension. Elena felt a rush of adrenaline. This was the moment they had prepared for. "Defend the core," Elena shouted, grabbing a weapon and positioning herself at the front line. Vorak and Rylan quickly followed suit, their faces set with determination. The battle erupted as the Carrack's forces poured into the command center. Energy blast filled the air, and Elena fought fiercely, her heart racing as she pushed forward, her team at her side. "Keep pushing them back," she commanded, dodging incoming blasts and firing back with precision. Vorak worked tirelessly at the controls, maintaining the energy shields for as long as possible. "Rylan, coordinate the last evacuation," Elena shouted, her voice barely audible over the chaos. "We need to get everyone out now." Rylan was already on it, barking orders to the personnel still inside. "Everyone, to the escape pods. We have to go now." As the Carrack's warriors pressed in, the energy beams clashed, illuminating the chaos around them. Elena fought with every ounce of strength she had, refusing to back down. "Shields are at critical levels," Vorak warned, sweat beading on his forehead. "We can't hold them much longer." "Then we'll make every second count," Elena replied, her voice unwavering. "We're not letting them win." As the battle raged on, Elena felt a surge of hope. The last group of personnel was escaping, and she knew they had to hold the line a little longer. Suddenly, a Carrack's warrior broke through their defenses, charging toward Rylan. "Watch out!" Elena shouted, adrenaline coursing through her veins. In an instant, she lunged forward, pushing Rylan aside just in time. The warrior stumbled, and Elena took the opportunity to strike, sending the Carracks crashing to the ground. "Are you okay?" she asked, her heart racing as she turned to Rylan. "Yeah, I'm fine," he replied, his eyes wide with surprise. "Thanks for the save." "Just focus on getting everyone out," Elena urged, her mind racing with the urgency of their situation. "We have to hold them off a little longer." The Carrack's forces began to regroup, their numbers overwhelming. "They're coming in again," Vorak shouted, his voice strained. "Prepare for another wave." As they fought back, the command center trembled with each explosion. Elena could feel the pressure building, but she refused to let fear take over. "Let's push them back," she shouted, determination flooding her veins. "For our future." With a fierce battle cry, Elena and her team surged forward, fighting with everything they had left. The control room was filled with chaos, but their resolve remained unbroken. "More incoming," Zalorn barked, rallying the troops. "Hold your ground." As the Carracks charged, Elena fought fiercely, dodging and firing back. She could feel the exhaustion creeping in, but the adrenaline kept her going. "Shields failing. We've lost power," Vorak shouted, urgency lacing his voice. Fall back to the secondary defenses, Elena commanded, leading her team deeper into the command center. We need to regroup. They made their way to the secondary control room, barricading the door behind them. What's our status? Elena asked, panting as she took stock of the situation. The last personnel are almost through the escape pods, Rylan replied, determination shining in his eyes. But we need to buy them more time. Elena nodded, her heart racing. Then we'll set up one last line of defense. If we can hold them off here, we can give everyone the chance they need. Vorak quickly adjusted the controls. I can reroute what's left of our power to the secondary shields. It won't hold long, but it might buy us a few more minutes. Do it, Elena commanded, adrenaline surging through her. We're not going down without a fight. As they prepared for the final confrontation, the atmosphere crackled with tension. The Carrick's forces pounded on the doors, their intent clear. They would stop at nothing to claim the command center. Get ready, Elena shouted, her heart pounding as the doors began to tremble. We'll hold the line. With one final push, the Carrick's warriors burst through the barricade. Elena and her team fought back with every ounce of strength they had left, energy beams illuminating the chaos around them. Push them back, Vorak shouted, firing at the incoming forces. We can't let them through. As the battle raged on, Elena felt a rush of adrenaline. They were fighting for their lives, for the future of their collaboration, and she couldn't let fear consume her. Focus on the lead Carricks, she shouted, aiming her weapon with precision. If we can take out their commander, it might break their morale. Vorak and Rylan nodded, rallying behind her as they pushed forward. They fought fiercely, determined to hold their ground. Suddenly, amidst the chaos, Elena spotted the Carrick's commander, a towering figure commanding the assault. With renewed focus, she locked her sights on him. There he is, she shouted. Let's take him down. In a coordinated effort, they unleashed their firepower, targeting the commander directly. Energy beams surged forth, striking him with force. The commander staggered, but didn't fall, rallying his troops with a fierce roar. Keep firing, Elena shouted, refusing to back down. They couldn't let the commander rally his forces. Finally, with a last, desperate shot, Elena hit the commander squarely in the chest. He let out a guttural roar and collapsed, his forces momentarily faltering. Yes, Rylan exclaimed, a glimmer of hope igniting in his eyes. We can do this. But the Carrick's forces quickly regrouped, their resolve hardening. They pressed forward, relentless in their assault. The walls shook with each impact, and Elena could feel the energy in the room shifting. Shields down, Vorak shouted, his voice strained. We're exposed. Fall back, everyone fall back, Zelorn commanded, urgency in his voice. As they retreated deeper into the command center, Elena could feel the weight of their situation pressing down on her. They had fought so hard, and now they were running out of time. Rylan, is everyone out? Elena shouted, panic creeping in.